Ken,
Well, hello there.
howdy. We
Or
started a few minutes early, but I was just, here. Do you know what? You know what this is?
I
It's a
can't
coin.
see it very well.
It's a coin slot
Oh, nice.
used on two things that I know of in Star Wars. Probably more.
The back of helmets?
No, R2D2 has them on him,
Okay.
and
BB-8s?
Lord Vader's chest box.
Well, BB-8 has them too. He had coins inserted to
Oh,
in
he had.
Canto Bite.
Yeah, he had coin ejectors too. I forgot all about that part with BB-8. Man, I'm a fake fan. So I'm waiting for John because we all. Oh, I see John. No, that's not John. That's a whole nother. That's me looking at my picture. I was like, what? Let me shut that off and turn our chat so we don't miss any chats.
I'm placing money on Ark tonight, being the first.
I think so too because he was in my TikTok.
Oh, he was.
Yes.
Gotta love that guy.
I just 3D printed all my Greeblies for my Vader. Right. I don't know how these buttons are going to work. It's not making sense to me. So I don't know. But
do they go through something else? Do they go through a faceplate?
That's what I'm saying. I have the panels all in Bondo and stuff out in the outside in the garage. So yeah, I have to just look at. I've been looking at it. So you look at something so long that you forget about what it looks like.
Yes.
So that's how I am with that's how I am with this. So let me put these down before I make a whole bunch of little chitter chatter noise with them. But they came off the printer, so it was like 20 hours got me all the Greeblies, and
that's cool.
10 more hours to print the back of the chest box. Then the chest box is just literally assembling it. I think some of the pieces I'm going to have to cast real quick in resin because, like the lenses for the lights and stuff like that, I'm just going to pour them in clear resin.
Okay.
But I also got. Have you heard of this company?
I can't see it.
It's called Fan Home.
No, what is it?
All one word. So, those stupid ads you get on like Facebook and all that kind of stuff?
Sure.
Well, I got one of those and one day. And I think I even put the R2 in our chat. The build an R2 thing. So I got this one right here.
Is that a Vader?
It's an encyclopedia set. Remember, you might not be old enough, but you used to go to the grocery store and like you'd pay like $1 for an encyclopedia every week or something like that.
Well, so I had a set of encyclopedias that were about how things were made, and I remember that they had exploded images of fighter jets, V8 engines,
right?
Different historical weapons and things like that. I remember having those. I loved those things. I was a dork. I used to read through those things like you wouldn't believe.
Right. Well, that's what. Hey, John.
Howdy.
I almost didn't get done watching all the Star Wars in time. I finished at 8:00 today, watching all the stuff for tonight.
There's Star Wars.
We're talking about these encyclopedias. So let me show you. This is what sold me on them, right? This Fan Home stuff. I saw this, and this is what made me. I bought them for this and only this. See the bookends?
Oh, the bookends. Those are cool.
No, because I think they're like $10 a piece, like $10 a book or something like that. But you get them like every 3 weeks or 4. I don't know. But the first ones, which you could cancel if you didn't like them, it was like $6 for the first two. And the first two I got were Darth Vader and Millennium Falcon.
Nice. How appropriate.
Yeah, I know. And
that's not even the inflatable one.
Right. I mean, I'm not seeing anything I haven't seen, like it's.
Well, you haven't seen that book before, so that's
right.
That's
right,
cool
and it's a good combo of pictures. And what I liked about it with the Vader, it's a combo of a whole bunch of different costumes. So you have Jedi right there, but then on right there you have Revenge of the Sith. So you get to see a whole bunch. It reminds me of when they would do those like one-shot magazines of like Imperial stuff in the
Yeah, well,
90s.
there was a pretty thick book about Vader not too long ago.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was called Vader Vault or something like that.
Oh yeah. Well, this was just, I don't know. It's almost like a and then it even goes into the sequels, the Legacy of Vader. It'd be a good book for someone like us who likes stuff, but also like if someone didn't really know Star Wars, it gives you like a quick catch up. And then the Falcon.
So read this before going over and hanging out with John and Mike.
Right. But like
crib notes.
The Falcon one I like because it has a lot of good pictures I haven't seen, and it's borderline Star Trekky in the sense that it shows you how certain things kind of work, you know.
Does it talk about the manufacturer and the horsepower of the engines?
Yeah, and it shows like I'm trying to find the one. It shows like all the different configurations you can do of that type ship.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
You know, so I don't know. I'll stick with this is my first month. My first $6 got me these, so I'll stick with it for a couple more times and see if they might be by book number 30. They might be like stretching out what they can find and all that, but I don't know.
Well, if they do an entire issue on Jar Jar Binks, man, they got me.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
They show the. Let me see. I don't think I can read but it says it's fan home, so they have like all kinds of stuff.
Bless you.
Like there's the pictures of the books. That's all the books right there.
Oh.
So I was going to try to read them
over here.
Yeah, I was trying to read them and I can't read them. But it looks like they all like my Vader has the side of the Rebel helmet, so my Vader book is somewhere around there in the. It's book number. I think they don't come in order. The Vader is, which really kind of bothers me actually, but Vader is book number 27, and the Millennium Falcon is 74. So
that means there's
at least 74.
That's cool.
So, it doesn't really say how many because I wonder if it just keeps going.
And you said it's $6 per book?
My first one, like intro level with shipping and everything, was $6. And then I think it's like 10. It's like $9.95 or some change or something like that for each additional one. But
do that math real fast.
Oh, I understand. It's a lot of money. However, but have you picked up like Star Wars Insider? Is like $9 now anyway.
No, not the special. Well, the magazine itself, but then they do the special ones where it's like a year in review.
Yeah.
All about the prequel series.
And I like Star Wars Insider, but there are some issues I feel like the story I've read 6 times and there's 100 ads. Unless my kids are in it, I don't even get excited about it. I mean, there for a while, the girls were in like 4 issues in a row, but I don't know.
We may have to come up with a new segment.
What?
The newsstand news.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say I got here's the newest Insider. Now I subscribe, so it's cheaper, but they don't even have a price. Oh, I guess they don't have a barcode on those subscription ones. But I think they're like $9 and something, right?
Yeah.
But besides the welcome and some pictures.
Well, they do have a variant cover though. That's
important. Well,
I tried. Subscriber cover isn't the same as the newsstand cover. So if you're going to collect them all like Pokemon.
Yeah, I gave up on that because we don't have enough newsstands and comic book stores anymore that get them. Well,
one of my friends used to own a comic book store and then he shut it down.
Yeah, I know. Me too. Anyhow, so how was everyone's week?
It was a week.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
It was a week, that's for sure.
I'm paying for my troop because I stepped in a hole and my knee is destroyed. Like I can't. I look like I'm 100 years old trying to stand up. Like my knee it was my bad knee from a car accident from like 30 years ago, and it's jacked up. And sticking to my old self, I'm not going to the doctor about it. So,
So we already stepped. Speaking of stepping into something, are we stepping into troop time already?
Yeah, let's go straight to troop time, because that I think that was the highlight of most of our. Hopefully, you know. So John, what did you troop? You troop like a
Yeah, we'll
bunch.
go youngest to oldest.
Yeah.
So my only official troop was I did a convention. So it was my first convention. So I mean, it wasn't anything exciting in the ways of like doing things, but met a couple of new members.
Nice.
And yeah, I mean, just it was a smaller convention. It was one of those kind of like, I don't know, just like a hole in the wall. It was at a church. So
That's an odd location.
Yeah. Well, the weirdest thing is we apparently shared an intercom, and there was a wedding going on inside the church. So, like at one point, like we got like the whole like speech of like, and with God's grace, we bind ye in holy matrimony. And
John
Everyone's,
catches on
I may the
fire.
force be with you.
Yeah,
And
and we're
also
all
with
just we're all just kind of sitting there like, someone grabbed the mic. What is going on?
That's
And then
funny.
they came over the intercom at one point. It's like, sorry everyone, we didn't realize that we were sharing a channel. They heard everything that we were saying, and we heard everything they were saying. So
Well, at
fear not.
least on your side, it's funny. On their side, someone's probably crying and screaming at someone.
Oh, my wedding is ruined.
May we take a moment to praise our Lord and Savior Vader.
Yes, I now pronounce you, and then you hear, now don't forget the raffle for the.
If you want your pictures taken at the Rubber City Convention stage and enter the costume contest.
Yeah, so it's a good troop. Like cons are that's like a weird animal of a troop, I think, sometimes.
Yeah, it was mainly because like nobody was really stopping at our table. So the four of us just kind of sat there and chatted. So yeah, we ended up raising like $300 though.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, because we had a little like change catcher. It was a Cam Tono.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, I forget what because we usually do one of a kind pets. It's an animal rescue. I forget which one we did for this event,
cool.
but yeah. So it was a really, really fun con. They gave us free food, which was nice of them. Because I brought cash because I was like, well, this Saturday is going to be really interesting because I was up at 6 a.m., got to the troop around like 9:30, immediately drove to work, and then I was in costume all night. And then I didn't actually, because I went and hung out with a friend afterwards, so I was up for 26 hours, and that was no bueno.
Listen, 10 years ago, little Johnny would have thought that's like the coolest thing ever if you said you're going to spend an entire Saturday in costume.
Yep. But yeah, so that was my troop time.
That's cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
All right, Ken.
All right. So on Saturday, I was at the Toms River branch of the Ocean County Library participating in Fan Nation 2022, also known as the Geek Stravaganza. And I want to say that this library put on a super duper event. They had things going on in their 3D printing room. You could get pictures taken in front of a green screen. You could make buttons. You could make screen printed bags. They had a Pokemon scavenger hunt. They had a costume contest. In one of their conference rooms, they had this group that was displaying full contact European sword fighting.
Oh.
So we're talking, big broadswords clanging against each other. The Saber Guild was there and did some saber training with kids. Members of the 501st were there, and then myself and one of the other Mandalorians from the New Jersey Rockerdon clan were there in kit, and I had a lot of fun.
That's cool.
I had a great time. And what's funny, it may not be funny to the rest of you, but to me it is. So the library it's on like this little campus, this little town center campus sort of thing. and right across the sidewalk from the library was the Bishop building.
Oh,
So of course I got a picture as Kennex next to the sign that says Bishop building.
that's funny.
As
And
you
I
should.
gotta, yeah, as I should. And I gotta, sing praises to my wife Heather, because I made it all the way up there, and it's about 50 miles, so roughly an hour's drive, give or take. Made it up there early, as I always do. And we got our table set up, went upstairs into the changing room, and I'm putting on my stuff. And I realized I didn't have my knee pads, or sorry, my knee armor, or my gauntlets. And I called Heather, and she was kind enough to drive the 1 hour each way
Oof.
to deliver my gauntlets to me so that I could troop. Because if not, it would have just been one Mandalorian in costume, and I would have been sitting at the table the whole time, or taking pictures of the other Mandalorian in costume. So I got to get my gear on about an hour later than I would have liked, but either way, it was still a fun day.
Yeah, I think John probably hasn't because he's new, but I think everybody's had those couple times where you forgot something. Because when I had 3 of us, we'd always forget. Like we did a Thanksgiving Day parade in Philly on television, everything, and Safi forgot her Tuscan boots, and she had bright pink sneakers on. So I had to cut strips from one of the extra pieces of cloth that I had in her thing, and I wrapped her shoes with cloth so she could, march in it. I've forgotten my Under Armour a couple times. Forgot Safi's head once as 000. And we didn't discover till we were like suiting up. I was like, oh, so Missy.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, Missy was doing a run. Well, that's
and
good.
as soon as I realized that I didn't have them, I knew exactly where they were. Because last weekend, I don't know if you guys remember, we had a armor party, and I had taken them out of my kit box to bring to the armor party to do some work on them, and forgot to put them back in my kit box.
Yeah, Marty and I were talking about forgetting stuff, and I said to him, I always feel like I need index cards of all my pieces, and if I take one out, clip it with a carabiner like on my latch.
Yeah, as a note.
Yeah, because a lot of times, like I'm displaying stuff, I have it all spread out, because that's the worst.
Yeah, so I definitely want to, give props to the library for putting on the event, and even bigger props to Heather for saving Kennex. And this isn't a formal troop, but I will say this out loud to this group. This Thursday, tomorrow at work, we have what's called Thankful Thursdays. So for this month, our organization has ordered a cupcake truck to show up on campus. It'll be there midday, and then it'll be there tomorrow night. And because it's close to Halloween, I asked our building boss if it was okay if Kennex could make an appearance and hand out cupcakes from the cupcake truck. So I'm going to be there tomorrow at work.
That's
in
nice.
My custom Mando. So that'll be pretty fun.
That's very nice.
And that's my troop time for the week.
All right. Well, my troop time, I got to do a wedding. And other than messing my knee up, which honestly I didn't know about till I got out of my car when I got home. I was like, oh, I twisted my, and then but yeah, ours was with Old Line Garrison. There's no one watching right at the moment, but it was in Pennsylvania, but they live in Maryland. So they knew Pennsylvania Garrison doesn't do weddings. So they asked Old Line. So I was like, yeah, I'm fine with that. And it wound up only being like 30 minutes from my house. So I took Quinn and I went. And I thought when I first went there, I thought it was going to be when they said Star Wars wedding. I thought it was going to be like maybe someone had a lightsaber and the centerpieces might have had like an Ewok on them or something like that. We get there, it's out in this wooded grove that looks Endor-ish, maybe, and the groom was in custom Mando gear, like full helmet. His helmet was the heavy trooper,
like Pax Vizsla.
Yeah, and then his armor was a mashup of, I don't know armor, but it looked more of like the slightly more modern, almost
the
like
post-imperial, like Din Djarin's.
Nah, well, maybe it kind of reminded me a little bit of the chess piece. Reminded me of a bigger version of his original chess piece.
Okay.
And then, but then he had he didn't have a flight suit. He had actually a suit under it or something. I don't know. But then he was, he had gauntlets and the whole thing. And then his wife's dress was made by her mother. It was almost like a combination of a whole bunch of different Padme dresses,
Oh, that's very
which was really cool. It was like a custom one, but if you didn't know Star Wars, you're like, oh, that's a really cool dress. But anyone who knew Star Wars, you're like, that's from something from Padme. I just don't know what it is. And then all the groomsmen were Jedi in the color of his armor was like a gray and black, and all the groomsmen were Jedi with a gray and black color scheme. And then the bridesmaids were, I think it looked more like Rey. It reminded me of Rey. They were like Rey costumes, but they were a gray
like
and black.
Scavenger Ray.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, it was a little custom, but it was really cool. And then all the kids in the wedding were dressed with like Ewoks. They had furry suits on. So it was
hopefully it wasn't at night and they got confused by hunters.
little Timmy is hanging on the neighbor's wall now. No, and then the whole ceremony, the preacher was stretching with his Star Wars knowledge because he was saying stuff that, like, as me, I'm standing in my TK, I'm just like, that doesn't really make any sense, but whatever. It was like, I think he just took the sermon and he just plopped in like, oh, I know Yoda, so I'll say, you know what I mean? But that was good. And the reading was about the Force, which was really good.
The fact that it, binds us together.
Yeah, that's what they did the lines. I think they did the line from Obi-Wan. They tweaked it a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, it was really neat. And we got there. It was funny because they wanted us to be like flanking, so people would walk between us to sit.
Oh, the ushers.
We weren't really ushers. We just stood there and they just walked between. People were afraid to walk between us. They just walked around because it was. We had a Din Djarin, a biker scout, myself, and Royal Guard. And then Royal Guard, he walked the mother of the bride down. So that was really cool. The Din Djarin was real. He was one of the only Din Djarins I ever saw that wears the rifle on his back.
Wow,
he had the magnetic thing and everything. It's like, so.
Oh, that's awesome.
That was really, but it was a lot of fun.
Speaking of weddings, do you think you'll be able to come up for the 11th?
I'm planning on it.
Okay.
What is that, a Thursday or
it's a Friday night?
I'm planning on. What time?
So they'd like us to be there 6:30. They'd like us to be there around 6:30 or so. Suit up by 7:30, and be there after dinner.
Okay, because if 6:30 I can do, and I think if Sappy's off, I'm going to try to bring her.
Okay.
If you can have a protocol droid.
Oh my goodness, that'd be awesome.
So,
and they have an elevator that we can use because they've given us a conference room on the second floor to get dressed up in, and then we can come and enter into the space. And I got the floor pan, and I've got an idea in my head.
I was talking to Marty. Marty's coming.
Awesome.
So you have Chewie or whatever. He'll do whatever, but I would personally, if I'm having Marty do anything, he's doing Chewie. I'm just,
a million times yes.
Yeah. So.
And so just so you guys know, this is a friend and a coworker. So this isn't just someone asked me about it because they know I'm a Star Wars nerd. This is someone who works in my organization. She's an ER nurse. Absolutely fantastic. And this is, I don't know if it's going to be as extreme of a Star Wars wedding as that, but I know that all the bridesmaids are carrying bouquets with lightsaber hilts, and the groomsmen are wearing rank badges, and there are going to be Star Wars centerpieces. And I don't know if they listen to our show, and I hope they don't. At least not yet. They don't know. Like,
that's the best.
They don't know about this. So the maid of honor and I will probably get some big hugs for helping make this happen.
Nice.
And I've got hopefully if things go smoothly, I'll have some Jedis there, and I've asked some mercs to show up. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'll be there. I mean, unless my house blows away, it's on my calendar. No, because that kind of brings me into like just bring us back to trooping, and John doing a convention and you doing a library event. when library events are done, like conventions, I go back and forth on conventions because, again, like John said, there's sometimes you're just there, and you know what I mean, like, and it's a little different because when you're with conventions, especially the way cosplay and costumes have gone in the last 4 or 5 years, we're not the spectacle we were 10 years ago. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So, but library events, I think that's like an untapped market of fun for us to troop and for people, because I've done some good library events in poorer neighborhoods where some of those kids don't leave that town by no fault of their own. That's just, and we get to take and be costumes in front of them and they get that con experience without having to spend tons of money. And I always love when libraries like have a good idea and just really go nuts with it.
Yeah, and it was much less, how when you go to some of these conventions, especially some of the bigger ones, there's the draw of the famous person.
Right.
Where with the library events, you pretty much know it's going to be families showing up.
Yep.
With kids at all range of the spectrum, from the toddlers who want to have Wonder Woman read them a story, all the way up to the 65-year-old teenager who wants to get a picture with a stormtrooper. So it's really neat and fun to see. And what I'd like to figure out how to do going forward is, if we know that these library events are coming down the pike, instead of just being there, to be involved and do something, whether it's part of an activity or a conversation about what we do and how we build these things. And not to the point, I know we've talked about it here a couple of times, where this helmet cost me $150 plus $99 worth of paint and $45 worth of greeblies and a $50 voice amp. Not that level, but this is how we make it. This is how we create it and design it, and the story behind our characters, so that it's comes across as much more accessible and fun.
Old Line does something like that. Old Line they used to do a panel at libraries where just talking about the 501st and costuming. And then when I was at the wedding, Chris from Old Line, coming up, they're having a library event or something where they want us to show someone how to suit up in armor.
Cool.
Like from start to finish. And he asked me, I said, I'd be interested. I said, but you got to check like COVID rules and stuff like that, like people, but that's the library events that are done really well are lots of fun. Now, I've been to library events that have been horrible. I've been to library events where there's been like 50 trivia questions. Like our old library events, like decades ago when we first started doing library events, they used to give us a big packet of questions because they didn't know. No one knew. And it would be an hour of trivia questions.
Yeah, so that's where you divide it up over the course of the day. We're going to do 5 here and 5 there.
Well, most kids just wanted pictures, because I remember they handed the script to my wife. Now, she's a professional teacher. She's been doing it even back then, 20-some years. And she looked at that and she said, okay, I'll take care of it. And she did like 7 questions. And then she said, okay, who wants to get pictures with the people? And boom. And we, instead of spending an hour asking questions, we spent an hour of every kid getting the exact picture they wanted with the trooper.
That's cool. And to go back to the thing that you just said about the suiting up, I think that might be the first time I've ever heard of somebody in the Star Wars universe wanting to see somebody put their clothes on.
I know, right? I know. Well, I think what's neat about it is, and I said to Chris, if we could get a clean suit, like just if someone just has a suit they don't mind, and suit someone in the audience up, like get someone's dad, like, hey, you're about my size, come here, go back, put this black suit on, and come out, and then we'll suit you up. Like to me, that's because the first time John remembers it better than I do. But the first time you put that costume on, though, it's there's something about it.
Well, especially not just the gear, but the minute you put that helmet over your head, it's like you're literally and figuratively in a different place. You're in a different headspace, a different ability to see, and you're seeing the reactions of people to you, not as you, but this other thing that they are familiar with, but they're not exactly sure yet. Especially if it's like a custom, Mando kit. So it is really, really cool. And I think that, to your point about getting a random fan in there, it would give them an experience like they probably wouldn't have any other way.
Well, I know, yeah, and I know, like with me, with my voice amp, I can't talk with like a stormtrooper unless I put the helmet on. Like one time years ago, someone wanted me to record some stormtrooper lines, so I was just trying it with my amp. I sound like Kermit the Frog, and I put the helmet on. I talk a little deeper. Just I put my helmet on. So at the wedding, we had to change out in the field. Like it was out in the woods. We're like, okay, just change. People are driving into the wedding. There's like 3 half naked guys. Like I thought there'd at least be a room. I didn't even have my undersuit on. I'm like, oh well, surprise. So in a hurry, I put my helmet on. My microphone went up my nose. It was sticking in my nose, and so every time I let a breath out of my nose, it went the static breath. So the whole wedding, I'm going like this, breathing out of the side of my mouth because I didn't want my static thing to go off during the wedding. And as soon as it was done, and they're like, "Okay, we're going to take," I said, "I got to go to the car," and I went and I just tore all the wiring off because I was like, I can't deal with this because I was like out of breath because I was trying not to breathe out of my nose.
You couldn't reach up and
no, in my TK you can't because that undercut you can't get your hand up in there.
Yeah, good point.
And I'm going to say, John, I completely understand you not being able to get out on the 11th, and there's a part of me that's sad.
Yeah, I am disappointed. If it would have been a week before or a week after, I would have been like, hey, I'm burning my last vacation day.
Well, that is a hike for you, man. That's we have to get you connected with Toga. You're like on the Toga side of our sphere of influence.
Yeah.
Because that's what we always say to Toga. Toga's family's from Jersey. We're like, why don't you move to Jersey or this part of Pennsylvania?
Yeah, it's not the drive that's the issue. I mean, it kind of is, but it's Black Panther opening weekend.
Wow.
So working at a movie theater, requesting off one of the busiest days before the holidays.
Yeah, like I said, I completely understand.
Yeah, but I'm making up for it. I will not miss troop time the following week because I will be at a Toys for Tots drive the next day.
Nice.
That's awesome.
I got I talked to Marty a little bit, but I got to drive his Tesla Sunday.
Oh,
did you drive it or did you just ride in it while it drove itself?
No, he let me. No, he. That's like an extra $6,000 to have it drive yourself.
Well, he's got Chewbacca money. We're talking about.
I don't know it. You know what? I never understood the appeal of one until I drove it. Like
it's got like a huge flat screen television in it.
Yeah, but the acceleration is ridiculous. Like it's like
it's got a lot of get up and go.
Oh yeah, and it has all. It's ridiculous. I don't want one. I'm waiting for my Volkswagen electric Volkswagen van, but it was pretty nice. It was pretty sweet.
Yeah, so. I hated those cars because we had one traded in at the dealership that I worked at, and I was like, oh, this is fast. This is really fast.
Yep.
Yeah, because the 0 to 60 is like 1.9 seconds.
I thought I was going to throw up. He said, "Just watch this." I was like, "What?" It felt like the what's the Aerosmith ride on at Disney?
Rock and Roller Coaster.
That's what it feels like. It just throws you back in the seat. Because I'm used to my 1.8 liter Scion XB. You're not getting thrown back in anything,
Imagine being on a test drive with someone you have no idea, you don't know whatsoever, and just out of nowhere, just punch the throttle, and then you're thrown back.
Yeah.
So, that's so cool.
It was good, but Marty's gonna have 1 million tickets, though. He's. But yeah, so that was my.
He can't get a letter from his doctor saying that his right foot is scientifically heavier than his left foot.
Yeah, maybe I don't know. But yeah, the trooping part, it was cool that we all three trooped. Like, I was happy to troop.
Yeah, like I remembered, Mike, you had the wedding, but Ken, I didn't know you had a troop on Saturday. And when you sent pictures, I was like, "Oh, are we all three doing this today?"
Yeah, I forgot that it was I've for whatever reason in the last month or two, dates escape my brain. I mean, even the week before the troop, there was an armor party, and that was about an hour from my house. So I went up Saturday, got there early like I always do. The time of the beginning of the armor party came and went. Nobody showed up.
Oof.
I get on Facebook. I look at it. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's because the armor party's tomorrow. So I was there. So I drove 2 hours for nothing. I was there a day early, which is better than being a day late, I guess.
That's true. That's
But
true.
for whatever reason, lately dates really have been falling out of my brain, and I don't understand why or how.
Yeah, until we started talking, because I had the same problem. Until we started talking about troop time, I forgot I have to pack my car for tomorrow because I also have an event tomorrow.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's good.
Yeah, and I was talking to my squad lead on Saturday. Someone had picked up one of my cards and was like, "Oh, since July 2022, what are you doing? You just started." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm a wee babby when it comes to it." And like my squad lead just like looks over to him and he's like, "Don't worry, he's already trooped twice as much as half the people in my squad." I'm
Yeah.
like, "Oh,
Yeah, with 2 troops in.
right."
Yeah, I had like a summer or two there that me and the girls were trooping minimum of 3 times a month. Like when they were like elementary school, when they didn't once the girls started getting their own calendars, it kind of dwindled down a little bit. But that's cool.
I think next year I'm going to shoot for 10 troops in the year.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm at this year, but I don't think I'm at 10 yet.
Yeah, I don't. I'm just gonna. I'm just waiting to see what's up with what's happening with Zoe and what's going on with that. So that's going to change all my my summer plans because I may be traveling. Helping her move, whatever happens.
Serving as a Chirpa when she goes to the ranch.
Yeah, stuff like that. So
Yeah, I'm quitting my second job, so hopefully I can troop more. Because that won't be sucking up a part of my free time. So
yeah, that's always good. See, we in my job we have all the extra hours we have to do. They keep getting added every year that we don't get paid for. So so that's the
life of the teacher.
Yeah, I mean I got plenty of perks, so I'm fine with it. But it's just they're like, oh, now we're gonna have this thing on Friday. Can you stay? I'm like, And I had a whole bunch of people call me if I could show up in my stormtrooper for Halloween. All these schools, like I'm teaching with you. Like, can you come to our
I'm 2 doors down, buddy.
Yeah, no, can you come to our element? I'm like, I'm teaching in the county. I have students.
Hey, I work here, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not just. If I was just a paid Star Wars guy, man, I'd go to every school. And we have the book fair, which I know this sounds really middle schoolish, but the book fair starts Friday. And they always have some cool Star Wars books, so I'm curious to see what they have.
Well, was it DK Books? They usually have a lot of those things at the fairs.
Yeah, so I'll probably if I don't have them. But okay, so
do you have the chats on? Because we haven't seen anything.
I only see one. The chats are on. Let me see, but I think we're just like a low. I think everyone is on. I think we're just on a bad week or something. I don't know.
Well, it could be a good week. I mean, they might be watching, some of.
Well, that's true. It
Star
could,
Wars stuff.
I think everyone is on. Hang on. Whoops. Yeah, turn. I don't see any chats, but it could be. There was just so much Star Wars to watch tonight. Like I literally, by the time I got home from work and did some stuff, and I had to binge it, and so here let's hear. Let me see what I have on my list. We have hellos, troop time, podcast talk. Any new podcast that you guys have?
So I have you to thank and you to curse.
Oh, which one?
For encouraging us to listen to the Dad Batch.
All right, that's good, right?
I've listened to a couple episodes of them, and I'm impressed with what they do and how they do it, and I'm also saddened that we don't do things as cool as they do. Because we have some very similar ideas.
Oh yeah,
they have the workbench of the week or whatever.
Yeah,
and, we have.
But they got the cool Home Depot mix music. Because I was like, I know this music from somewhere.
Yeah, so they're a great bunch of guys.
Yeah.
The one episode that I listened to was of them talking with the main Legion CEO.
Justin.
Yeah, Justin Seinfeld. What's his last name?
Seinfeld.
That was a fun episode. He's a Jersey guy.
Yeah, I know him during the pandemic when I became friends with Jordan and all them. He's friends with Jordan. So, and me building C3POs, he does the C3PO. So I became like friends with him. I ran into him. I ran into him at Celebration. Got to talk to him a little bit at Celebration. He's a really good guy. Like he's, you know, and the interview even made him seem even better.
100%. I totally agree. And that actually gets me to this part of the conversation. I know it's not Costume Corner, and I'm going to put it out there anyway. And everyone on this show by now knows that I'm a member of the Mandalorian Mercs, the custom Mandalorian. I have a custom Mandalorian, and I'm working on a post-Imperial kit. This is where I definitely want you and John's help. I want to make a Din Djarin that can be approved in the 501st.
Yes,
I think I want to step my toe into that realm of costuming.
Well, I can tell you, I'm in the same boat with that because I want to do it too. So maybe we should make ours together. Like,
which one do you want to do? Do you want to do the Pinto version, or do
I
you
want to do the? I think I want to do the Pinto version.
Me too.
And I don't know why, because I like the Beskar and stuff, but I like that Pinto. I think it's because that version we saw so many pictures of it when we didn't know what was going on. Like that was the picture.
Well, there are two reasons for me. One, it's less fancy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it doesn't have the. I mean, my Kennex is already like the shiny, armor and things like that. Right. And it seems like Brendan Wayne really likes that version of.
Oh yeah.
Of it.
Well, and John, so Justin, because I was talking to Justin this summer, because I started planning on doing that costume in like last January, but then it just got sidetracked. But when I contacted Justin, and I was like, "Look, where did you get your undersuit?" You know, and he got it from Cosplay Sky. His approved Mandalorian undersuit. He just bought the undersuit, seam ripped all the stuff off, and that's what he uses for all his undersuit.
That's awesome.
Like, because they're like, I think that one, the one that goes with that is, I want to say if you get them on sale, it's under $200 shipped.
That's cool.
You can't get stuff sewed, even if you know how to sew yourself. The fabric's going to run you $100 anyway.
Yeah.
So that and that was it. That's a good show. And I know John, the guy who does Hunter.
Okay.
I know him from. I met him online. Oh man, right before the pandemic, and then he was making stuff, and we were just like that kind of buddies. And then he ran into Zoe at the Andor premiere, and then him and Zoe just trooped. Him and John and Zoe just trooped Sunday, at the beach for a Halloween troop, and he gave her a ride home.
So, that's cool. That's very cool.
The guy who does Crosshair. I met him once, but I know his wife and daughter, they do the Death Watch Girls.
Okay.
I don't know if you ever saw them or not.
I haven't seen them, no.
So look them up on like any social media. They do some really cool videos, and they have his daughter does and his wife do those, and then he does an awesome Vader, and he does all those guys. Because his daughter was going to do the podcast with Zoe at Celebration Stage, and then they got tapped to do the Bad Batch show, and she's like, I can't. We're like, we understand.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the other thing that this is, where I said I'm kind of saddened by our show compared to this. Those guys have like double-digit costumes, and are constantly printing stuff out. And I'm like, man, I envy their podcasting abilities, and I also envy their costume creation abilities. So
right. Well, I mean, yeah, that's what I'm like. That's listening to their show. I'm always like, okay, we just have to tighten ours up. We start with the tightening of it up a little bit, and then we can move on to the post-production, because the post-production stuff is really nice. I like with those. It's just I also like to get like I want to put our show on a stream, but as long as we're doing these hours and hours long shows, it's not feasible it just takes too much time for the turnover. Yeah. And but yeah, that's a good podcast. And Brendan Wayne was on. He wasn't on theirs. He was on.
He was on the Armor Party.
He was on the Armor Party.
Yeah, which is another one that I have you to thank for getting to listen to them. No, it's fantastic because I have 2 hours worth of driving at least every day, and so it gives me opportunity to listen to new stuff or different stuff. And I also really appreciate both of their shows because they're in terms of attitude, they're a lot like us. And I'm not saying that
Yep.
we're special or that we're better than other folks. I don't hear the level of judginess or disrespect or absence of appreciation. I mean, when you hear them talk about it, there's this level of thankfulness that these shows are out there and excitedness for what they see, and they sound very much like us, where they'll pause and look at this costume and say, I saw that, now I want to make this. I mean, they already printed,
Yep.
they 3D printed one of the baseball hat helmets
Yeah,
from
yeah,
one of the first
yeah.
episodes of Andor. I'm like, yep,
Yeah.
these are our kind of people.
Yeah. And well, and again, they're not. It's just like I think of. I'm getting to think of now like the Unifying Fan Network. It's almost like a Rotten Tomatoes stamp on a movie. It's almost like that. Like it's like if I hear a show and I would say, okay, well that would fit on the Unifying Fan Network. It doesn't mean you have to like everything, but it doesn't mean you spend any tons of time just complaining about something. Like I like when they do I think it's Crosshairs, no, it's Hunter's Hard Drive at the end. Some of them they do Hunter's Hard Drive. Have you heard that?
Not yet.
So Hunter's Hard Drive, usually he picks a movie, sometimes Star Wars related, sometimes not, and they all decide if they want to keep it or not. So it gives them time. It gives them a segment where someone can say, hey, I just didn't like that movie, or I didn't like that movie, but they don't. It's just like a fun tongue in cheek, like, you know.
Yeah, and I think it's one thing to say that you didn't like something for reasons. It's
Right.
another thing to say, I didn't like it, and that's why that sucks.
Right. And everyone that likes it, there's something wrong with it.
Yeah, like I can't believe you would want to watch that. You know, what's this 1978 holiday special?
Yeah. So yeah, John, like I said, John has been good to Zoe, and they all, like I said, they're all good guys. I'm tempted. I'd love to have the two shows I think Zoe would have fun doing. The first one is you guys' show, because I was listening to your show, and oh no, technical difficulties and breaking news incoming. Oh, cool. Sometimes you guys have an unrehearsed segment of old guys talking about what they like, and old guys talking about what they think the kids like.
That part is funny. And there's so many times like, are we really those guys? Are we really those old guys saying what the kids
almost
like these days?
I would like Zoe to be there. It would almost be like a court case where you'd be, okay, kid, do you know?
Well, that's what we've talked about it here before, and I don't know if
Yeah.
you were on the show or if it was just when John and I were doing the Beskar Bucket, the idea of a debate club.
Yeah.
You know, a Star Wars debate club where we debate one aspect of a show or one aspect of a movie or whatever, and you talk about all the reasons why it's this, I talk about all the reasons why it's that, and we have one of the three of us as the moderator.
Well, right, but like on your show, I don't know if it's Dex. I'm trying to think. Someone always talks and acts like kids don't like it or don't like how you guys like it.
Dexter likes to bring up the kids these days.
Right, but I wish if Dexter would talk to Zoe, she probably agrees with a lot of his sentiment more than he realizes. Like, I think he's aging himself by mistake.
Yeah.
You know, because like if you hear kids like Zoe, the fans, I mean, not every kid likes Star Wars. It's just, it's not, and Star Wars is going through that weird thing now where when Force Awakens was out, every kid loved it. Every kid in my school loved it. And now we're at that phase where it's going back to just you're nerdy if you like it. It's kind of like that Return of the Jedi era of Star Wars in the 80s, and it's that in the Revenge of the Sith era when the people, it kind of goes, ebbs and flows. But yeah, so
one of the things I think is interesting about that is, at least where we are now, I think it's nearly impossible for anybody to watch a Star Wars fresh.
Oh, right.
Because Star Wars is so much a part of just culture everywhere, whether you've seen it on the package of goldfish crackers, or
yeah.
You see a Volkswagen commercial with the kid as little Vader, or you've seen some of these TV shows or movies or what have you. So we'll never be able to go back to 1977 where folks sat in the theater for the first time and had no thing to compare it to.
Right.
So
Well,
now wherever people jump in, they've got those connections of, is it better than that or worse than that? Or yep, we hear you whispering there, John.
Oh, you hear me?
Yep, we're just finishing up podcast time. So I have one last podcast. Now, Ken, you'll hate me for suggesting another one. Besides all my Star Wars podcasts, Dad Batch, I think Dad Batch, everyone should listen to that. It's like we're the Wish version of the Dad Batch. like I ordered the Dad Bash on Wish, and this is what I got.
And I got the inflatable Falcon.
So no, just different styles. But anyway, there's the one called Good Assassins, un-Star Wars related, but kind of Star Wars related. So the first season was about a bunch of hunters hunting Nazis in the, I think it was the 50s and 60s, and assassinating like Nazis for war crimes and stuff like that. But the second one is about this spy in France named the Limping Lady, and they're trying to catch him. And here's what reminded me of Star Wars. So the partisans in France, if they killed an officer, like, they were trying to kill officers during World War II, if they killed an officer, the Nazis would burn a whole town down. Like, even if they couldn't find partisans, they would just be, look, there was one killed here. They'd burn a whole town. And they talk about that kind of stuff. And then we go back to Star Wars and we look what the Empire, someone who wrote Andor studied the history that George Lucas built Star Wars around. Because you hear the tactics they're talking about, like tightening your grip and stuff like that. And sometimes people try to make stuff up. And I think maybe that's where a lot of science fiction fails. They try to make something up without looking at the past to see how things really tend to evolve. So that was I was listening to the Limping Lady, and I don't know. It just caught my eye. And also,
I think that's some of the stuff where Andor really excels is the connections back to what Lucas was doing back in those early movies, using real world historical things as the basis for what was showing up on screen, plus myth, plus the cinematic work of other folks. And I think the directors and the writers for Andor specifically are hitting all of those beats very, very well with Andor.
Right. All right, John, what's your podcast time? You got any podcasts you're listening to that? And then
I do not. However, notice a second set of chair and a second set of headphones.
Yes.
Papa John will be here in about 10 minutes.
Yay!
There we go. That's a good. So
that's awesome.
That's cool. That's very good. Yeah, I think, John, I got a picture for a new Beskar bucket. You got to get a hold of Zoe and Lizzie and interview them about the first 7 years of podcasting. Because I can't get those girls to say anything on their show, but hey, it was our 7-year anniversary. Oh, that's great. And then they just moved on to Andor. I'm like, really? I send them show notes. Hey, could you talk about being, and that's what they literally spent 15 seconds saying it there. I was like, oh, thanks. So
yeah, no, I'll message Zoe probably sometime tonight or tomorrow. Yeah, no, I'm down for that. That's a good idea.
Yeah, because you have the benefit of asking them questions that won't come across as these are questions my dad is asking.
Well, and also John has that good interview quality person with him. Like when I hear John's shows, if someone told me John just started podcasting, I'd be like, nah, that's not true. You have a good cadence and a good pacing and a good wait time. Zoe did me justice when she did Brendan Wayne, but they had some technical difficulties. And usually it's pretty easy to cut out, but he pauses a lot in his questions. Hey, Ark was first. He pauses a lot. He pauses a lot in his questions, so it was a nightmare editing out a lot of the errors. So,
would it really be a Star Wars Geek Girl podcast without some sort of a technical difficulty?
Nope. Zoom always lets me down. That's just, but she's going to have lunch with him next week sometime. Because he said, I took it out of the podcast, the audio podcast. At the end, he talks about, hey, when I'm coaching, when I'm, we can get together, talk Hollywood. I took that out of the podcast, but I left it in the video podcast. But yeah, so she got his phone number, and they're gonna. He said he'd help her out. If she wanted to talk, I was like, and
see, John, these are the things that we don't get the benefit of because we're not a child of the Hintons.
Yeah, we're not a Hinton child, and nor do we live in California.
Well, also, you got to remember, I've been working on this. This is the benefit of the previous 7 years of doing this. Okay, it's not, because some people are like, oh, I'm like, look, I have been nagging and irritating many people for 7 years. It's not like I just.
But we don't rank, John. Is what he's saying. We're not.
I listen. You go back and pull the tape. I was 100% honest with you.
Oh, I'm not saying you're a liar. Please don't misunderstand.
I was
I'm just saying we're not good enough. That's why we're the wish of the podcast world. We're the dad batch wish list.
I think that's a good one though. I think that was.
And Ark was asking what I won, and we were joking around before we got started who would be the first person to comment, and I said that Ark 77 would be the first one. So tonight I win.
I missed the bets this week.
That's all right. Yeah,
because someone said 8:30, and when I show up at 8:30, we're 7 minutes into the live.
So. No. Listen. We started at like 28 after. I just put the live. I put the show notes to show our agenda to try to keep us, just so it would burn into our skulls for the first 7 minutes. And we're doing pretty good. So we got podcast talk. Now we can move to Andor.
Oh no, I think we should wait for our guest to arrive.
Yeah.
He hasn't seen it, so.
Oh, he hasn't.
He hasn't seen the new episode.
Well, we can still talk about the other ones.
Yeah,
we don't have to talk about today's episode.
The new one, and that was like, it was. I was trying to figure out, what are they building? Like, what part are they building? I was like, is that a part of an AT-AT? Like, what is that?
I thought maybe it was a droid of some sort.
Well, at first, but then it looks like it's some kind of gear. Like I was trying to think, is that the gear? The AT-AT has that weird turning thing in the knee when it walks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Like I would just think, I don't know. It just seemed like very, and man, what a really cool. Except for the OSHA rules where you'd wind up losing a lot of toes. Like I would think they would give them boosts with no bottoms or something like that. I don't know. But what a really cool way to run a prison. Like a very creative way that was just, it was neat, Well,
and let's take that another step further. Some of the dirty work is done by other prisoners.
Yeah.
So just like, if you think back to the, not that I lived during these times, but I've read, books and encyclopedias about this, back to the slave times.
Yeah.
Well,
or World War II. If we go back to World War II in Germany, they used, you have Schindler's List and some of these other people that help people, but they help people because they used them as slave labor to build stuff for the Nazi war machine, but they kept them alive, So.
And that's kind of what we were talking about a little bit ago. The folks who put this show together, not only do they know storytelling and the beauty of cinema and television, they also understand history.
Yep.
So this is grounded in reality, even though it's in a galaxy far, far away.
And if you know history, you can skimp on a lot of the other stuff. Like some people are like, well, you can't be a good writer if you don't know how humans act and this and that. If you know history, you got a blueprint of how, without having to study human interactions or any of that. You can just look, this is what happened. When you put a whole bunch of people in a prison, guess what? Some of the prisoners are going to treat other prisoners even worse.
Yeah,
And I felt bad. I mean, it's funny because Cassian was arrested for everything he really did, but they didn't know it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, like, you could even you could say Cassian wasn't the one that was arrested. It was Keith or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, this whole episode was just like an anxiety attack, just from start to finish. It's like, oh my god, this is actually happening.
Oh yeah. Again, they're the woman Imperial. I got to get all these names straight.
Dedra.
Yeah, her. She's a weird case in the sense that I'm rooting for her, and I'm not rooting for her. You know, because she's kind of right. Like she's right.
Well, so Cyril, if you think
Yeah,
about it, they're both
Yeah.
right. Even though
Yeah.
Cyril was a little less organized, a little less successful at doing what he thought was the right thing to do. And while you may not agree with the ends that they were going for or the side that they were on, their actions make sense. There's logic there.
Well, and all the villains are not the evil twisting mustache tie to the train villain. Like depending on, as Obi-Wan says it, you know, depending on your point of view, they're both good people doing their job. Like if you and I are sitting at our widget factory doing our job and two of our coworkers get murdered and we want to help solve the murder, you know, because people tend to silo and block out the overall picture sometimes of what, you know. So yeah, it's good. I mean,
And I do find it interesting that they're taking this approach to both the Empire and the Rebellion.
Yep.
And I know that we've talked about this phrase before, and I'll bring it up here again, but the idea of subverting expectations. This is not the Rebellion I thought about when I was a kid, or, you know, even, you know, 3 months ago.
Yeah.
So I love how they're delving into characters much deeper than we've ever seen done with any character. Plus, they're getting into deeper territory with the thinking of the Empire and the steps that were taken to form the rebellion. And once again, and I apologize for repeating myself, I think it fits here. Every episode, I just hear Saw Gerrera lies. Every day, more lies.
Well, his whole part in this episode was awesome. Like, if they said, look, you can only watch 5 minutes of this show, we're going to delete the rest forever. I want that part. Because he was talking about this, like, there's people that they want the rebellion like you and I. They want, I mean, when we were kids, it's like all the rebellion are just the good guys with the white cowboy hats, and they're going to come save the day. And Saul was like, look, these are what he was saying, like, human sympathizers and cultists, and he was listing all these groups that we don't even know what they mean, but they sounded like a bunch of weirdos. And in one way, Saul's like, I don't want to be working with these people. I'm, you know, like, I'm just going to be working for me, you know, because he knows he in some sense he's an extremist, but he at least knows where he's going.
Well, and he also knows why he's extreme.
Yep.
Because if you look back in history to the Clone Wars, I mean, his sister died at the hands of some of these
separatists.
Of the separatists. Yeah, absolutely. You know, so he's experienced this loss, and, you know, has firsthand knowledge of what has happened up until that point, where many folks are looking at the stuff from a distance, and or looking at it from the propaganda side of it. This is what's showing up on the news media, or this is what we're being told about that group, and why we shouldn't support or listen to or follow that group, because they're, you know, against the Empire.
Now, did you guys pick up on, is there something up with Mon's kid?
I think so. I think there's something up with her kid as well as her husband.
Yeah, her husband, I figure he's shady, but there was something up with her kid, because they showed her kid twice when she was looking a little nervous. But then when they were standing by the window, the daughter kind of walked behind and went around. And I was like, that just seems like, and maybe I'm overthinking it, but I think of these shows as they're so precise in every single thing they put in frame. So why would you just have her walk in the background and it wasn't overly noticeable? And she didn't really do anything, but I'm just like, it seemed slightly out of place.
Well, is she listening into this conversation and then reporting back to her dad? Because it seems like the two of them are more allied than her and her mom.
Yeah, I was thinking, my thoughts were that, or I was thinking, what if she's friends with Leia? And they think, just like all these all these rebels think they're the biggest and baddest. Like the banker guy, I thought, hey, mom, I'm a bigger rebel than you. And then Mon Mothma's like, no, I'm a bigger rebel than you. And then all those other ones. And then I wonder, like, if these kids are there's a whole nother, like, if it's a whole nother thing, you know.
So you think that the daughter may be on the rebellion side? So she might be.
See, I was wondering because, like, I'm just wondering because if her daughter is on the rebellion side and she doesn't think her mom really is, because her mom, in theory, is working for the government. If you're against the government, like, her mother does a pretty good job of being in the government. And on a kid's mindset, you would think, you know, because I'm wondering if Leia thinks like her dad's like the only one standing up against, because he might not be telling her to keep them safe. I don't know.
Maybe.
That's the only thing that ran through my head. I'm probably way off, but that's what ran through my head. Me overthinking the whole
Well, I think this show is designed to get you to overthink.
Yeah.
Because going back to my comment about lies and every day more lies, you truly do not know who's what.
Right. And two tubes. We saw two tubes.
Well, which two tubes was that? Was that
I don't know which
pod
two
mate,
tubes
or
it
was
is.
that the two tubes from Rogue One?
Well, they were brothers, right?
Yeah, pod mates.
they're
I think they're
brothers.
called. Yeah.
So, because I was like, I think that looks close enough to my my Tuscan rifle, you know, because he's holding that long rifle. I was like, that could.
And that wasn't Jeddah that they were on, was it? It was a different
No,
rocky cave planet.
Yeah, it started with an S. They said it in this show, but
yeah, that was good.
Did anyone else catch Admiral Yularen?
Yeah, he was in the week before, right?
I think so.
Yeah, he was. Yeah,
but I didn't think he was as prevalent.
Well, and I heard Zoe talk about him on her show, and she was saying, like, when she was a kid, he was like one of the heroes. Like in the Clone Wars, it's just weird, like, you know, when you're like, oh, he's a bad guy.
Well, and in the show, he's not an admiral yet; he's a colonel.
Right.
So he grew up to be an admiral in A New Hope.
Yeah.
And the only reason I knew it was Yularen is because I get up really early in the morning to watch these things, and I don't have the volume up really loud on the television. I have closed captions on, and at last episode it had Yularen and then his dialogue.
Yeah, well, that's what the Dad Batch were saying, because someone called him "You Learn," and then someone was saying, "Yeah, I had the credit, the whatever scenes on
the closed captions."
Closed captions. Yeah, I get tired. I don't like words on my screen. I only watch them when I watch the British shows with a really, really thick British accent, and I can't understand what they're saying. But yeah, John, I got my Vader stuff is printed, most of it, but I have my coin slots for.
Oh, there we go. Now they should need to be silver.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna take all these little Greeblies, clean them up, and throw them in dragon skin so I can pour them in resin. And just be done with it. But yeah, I am. Andor, I mean, there was so much on that show. The prison, like, what a cool, I mean, not a cool prison cell, but my
creative one.
Yeah, my only gripe, if I had to gripe about it, was why wasn't the numbers in Arabish?
I thought they were.
Yeah, they are.
Nah, they were just like they were almost in the same font.
Or do you think they're just stylized?
Yeah, they're like in the same font Andor's in.
Okay.
You know that. But yeah, that was a pretty sweet. I guess it's really not a prison; it's a work camp. I mean, is there a difference? I don't know. He got 6 years for running on the beach, man.
Right.
That's a rough sentence. And it's almost like I feel like we're getting 2 seasons of Andor, because it's so long and so densely packed with material.
Absolutely.
You know,
and it's one of those shows for us. I think I've already, so up until this point, I've seen each episode at least twice, with the exception of this morning's episode. Look at this guy.
Right.
Oh, it's the Dad Batch now.
All right, that's enough of the Andor spoilers.
Okay, all right, no more spoilers on Andor. It's this high-tech setup. Wait a minute.
Is it
this
gonna split it?
Side?
No, the mic's right here.
Oh, what's this?
It's
That's so you
just
can hear
another
us.
That's weird.
Welcome.
Hello.
Hello there.
Now we have a full crew.
I can't
We got
see
a
it.
pilot, co-pilot, and
mic. Gotta get your
Oh,
glasses
there we
on.
go. Engineer.
Well,
There we go.
you might want to take those glasses off once you see us. I mean, it's
yeah, I've been told to have a face for radio. So.
yes. So, welcome.
So it's your first appearance on the inflatable Falcon. How do you feel?
Oh, is that what this is? I thought it was the best
Yes,
car.
we don't know where this came from. It just happened, and we're how many months in of talking every Wednesday? So
Since March, I thought.
yes, since March.
We started this in February.
Oh my goodness, I'm gonna pull the tapes. But yeah, that's so.
Yeah. Hey, I'm happy to be here. Always happy to talk about Jean-Luc and the Enterprise.
Hell, what?
Oh no, wrong show. I'm sorry. My bad.
See, I'm old. That's even before my time. I was stuck with the really old Star Trek when I was a kid. So, and then when Star Wars hit, I pretty much bailed on Captain Kirk. So,
What is your opinion, by the way, on that? Just out of curiosity, like
what on Star Trek?
Liking both. Yeah.
Well, I like them. I think, like, to me, and we joke around about this. Star Trek to me is like my friends that do Star Trek are probably the ones who want to know how things work.
Mm-hmm.
But when they get into the Star Wars, like the costuming, I guess they're usually the ones that build droids. Where, like, I don't really care how the Millennium Falcon flies. I just know it flies and it has Chewbacca and Han in it. I don't need to, like they have Star Trek books on all the different stuff, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just not my thing.
Well, I've heard that like some people like are very, I always go back to Fanboys, which is one of my favorite movies where they make fun of, one side makes fun of the other and vice versa.
Yeah.
Like I always wondered, do you think that's real? Like I'll be first to admit I actually like Star Trek.
Yeah. Well,
We'll see you later then. Bye.
Yeah. No, so when the new movies came out, they had these really nice knit shirts of the crew that you could order through like your cereal. Like you eat like 5 boxes of cereal, you could order them.
Mm-hmm.
So I ordered a whole set for me and my daughters, and I would wear the Captain Kirk shirt under my Stormtrooper armor. So when I would troop and take off my stuff, I'd have a Captain Kirk just to goof around. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a fun rivalry, though. At least what I see, it's more of that fun, because every fandom has that silly thing you can make fun of.
Right.
Like if you over like, and this is coming from me, who my whole life and my family's life is based on Star Wars. There's people that overthink Star Wars too much to the point that it kind of wrecks their life, and it's the same with Star Trek. And it's just that balance of that makes it fun. If this wasn't fun, I wouldn't be staying up every Wednesday night when I should be grading kids' work. Okay, kids, we're going to see a film today.
Yeah.
Thursday morning.
Hey, I loved film day in school. No complaints there.
So your body's changing.
We had the one cool.
Could you imagine showing that today? Oh my god!
Oh no, our health teachers have to show that, and that's why I'm glad I'm a computer science teacher, because our health teachers have to still show that, and I'm like, I'm glad. I'll stick with. You know what? I'll show you HTML. But no, yeah. I mean, I just think all the fans, comic book fans, everything, and we've said on this show, it's pretty neat that there's someone. I live in the middle of Pennsylvania. Ken lives in Jersey, and John lives in Ohio. There's no way in any other point in time we would meet other than Star Wars.
That's true.
Like I met John from his Star Wars TikTok, which is really weird when an old person is on TikTok. I know, but that's how I met John. And I met Ken at an armor party in New Jersey when I was just a driver for Zoe.
Oh no, we were in Pennsylvania. I met you in
Pennsylvania, Philadelphia. Yeah, that's right.
Just outside of Philadelphia. Yep.
So, kind of meeting in the middle.
Hold on, you're on TikTok?
Funny.
I didn't know that.
We're trying to get him over 10,000. You know, he has to get 10,000 subscribers. Come on, John.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
Well, Mike's got what 153
152.
1,000?
Yeah.
thousand.
Wow.
Yeah, you can thank Marty for that one.
Like I had one of Marty's. Well, it was my video. It was my video.
True.
It was, but one of my videos. I was sitting at parent conference night. I went to school that day. I had like 5,000 followers, and it just kept racking up. And my wife like texted me, "What's going on?" And I put this stupid, like really stupid video of Marty in his Chewie costume with the world's smallest woman, and it just went boom, like 1.5 million likes, I think, in a couple days. I don't know. It was crazy. So, and that's 99% of my likes right there. But I don't know. But yeah, we got to meet John. We got to go. Got to make a movie. Hopefully, that movie comes out soon.
Yeah, Matt's been real on his social media campaign recently.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Well, he's trying to get it in some cons or film festivals. I don't understand all
Is
that.
the movie
part.
done?
Hmm?
Is it done? I thought you had to do reshoots or something.
Matt's a very artistic person, and unless we rein him in, we don't know what's going on.
And
Like,
did you
it's
say he's trying to get it into the Cannes Music Festival?
He's trying to get he's trying to get it into cons
Oh,
or not con movie. Yeah.
like the
no, like-
CANNES? That
No,
film?
CONS, like comic book
Okay.
cons.
Oh,
He's
okay.
trying to get it in the cons, but you know, he has a guy doing all his special effects, which is really cool. As long as he doesn't take out too much footage of us and he puts in your after credit scene of Din Djarin.
Yeah,
So,
I will be thrilled to see that one on the big screen.
Yes. That was a good
Where
one.
would this play at? Like, where would we actually be able to see it?
Apparently, he's trying to get into like film festivals and
An
like
actual
conventions.
film festival
Yeah.
somewhere.
Well,
Okay.
he does. He's cameraman in New York City. Like he does this for a living. All of his friends
okay.
are like so. I think he has more connections. I just know with him when he first contacted me about 6-8 months before COVID hit,
Mhm.
and he wouldn't. I had to basically force him to pin down a date to film because he was like one of these. Well, look, I'll just call you on Thursday and you can get some guy. I'm like, no, it doesn't work that way. We have to travel and so he's hard to pin down, but when you pin him down, he does good work. And that's when we met John the first time, and he got to wear my 1TK. I think. Oh yeah, my armor is. I don't know where my armor's at. Oh, there's my sand trooper right there. But my other armor is still in my tote. I was lazy. Hey, it's Chewy with Ken.
Sometimes she just wants attention.
Well, I didn't
It's
know
good.
we could bring puppies. I have one.
Oh, yeah, see, there you go. I have a pug, but he's not fun times.
Camera shy.
No, he just would bark. He just he has to, and I think he's self-conscious because he has to wear a diaper now. So because he's old, he gets self-conscious of that because we couldn't find black diapers that would match him. So he gets upset.
Is he a diva like fashionista?
I think so. I think he's no, but so you didn't watch this week's Andor.
Me?
Yeah, right.
No.
Yeah,
No.
okay.
But
So
you
don't-
don't worry. Spoilers don't bother me. I don't know.
Nah, we don't want to spoil it for you.
Well, there's 7 other
he-
episodes to talk
Obviously,
about.
he's off to prison. So
Yeah, you'll love. Well, I don't know if you'll love the prison, but they did a really good. They did a good take on that. I'm glad it wasn't another planet of them just tearing ships apart, because there for a while that seemed like that was Star Wars go-to for prison. I'll just send them to a planet that tears ships apart. So that was
the guy in the Mandalorian that's a comic.
Bill Burr.
Bill Burr.
Yeah,
Yes.
was he on a prison planet for tearing
Yep.
ships apart?
Yep.
Okay.
yeah.
How in the world did he get into that, by the way? Because he's hilarious. I've seen his comedy.
Yeah.
How did he get into the Mandalorian?
I think he ripped Star Wars enough on his podcast that they were like, "Hey, it'd be funny if you're in this show."
Okay.
It's-
I
And I
always
think-
wondered that.
And I also think John Favreau has like weird connections. Like I think for a while, like when George Lucas was doing it, they basically had actor connections and Star Wars connections, but they didn't have, like, John Favreau kind of crosses genres, with his movies, but also with some of his own, like his Disney movies, but also his comedy movies, and then hit some of his comedy acting. I think Jon Favreau opens up to way more people, and Lucasfilm seems super loyal to the people that really help him out. Like, you know, if you look at, like, was it Sam Witwer? Witwer was in. He was the
voice of one of the short. Yeah, the
voice
short
of it. I didn't know if he was in a costume or not.
I'm not sure either. I think it might. I don't know if they just used his voice or if they used him, you know, in kit.
Because if that was filmed in Manhattan Beach, that's not far from where he lives either. I don't know where that scene was filmed. You know,
which short trooper was it?
The one that arrested him, that arrested Andor
on the beach planet.
And who was the actor that supposedly played him or voiced him?
Sam Witwer. He's Darth Maul.
Yeah,
in the Clone Wars.
Really?
Yeah,
there's the voice. Yeah.
Okay.
He's also Star Killer from Star Wars Unleashed.
Right.
The 2 video games.
And he's the vampire. He's a vampire from that show where, like, remember, it was like a vampire, a werewolf, and a ghost or something lived in a house together. It was a sci-fi.
That sounds like
channel.
a bad joke.
Yeah, it was. And he was also.
Sure it wasn't a bar.
No. Well, you know, Sci-Fi Channel was known for, like, super good shows, and then just when you thought everything they made would be really good, they came out with something that was really bad. And I think that was one of those. But he was also in Battlestar Galactica too, the remake. Sam Witwer was. He was one of the pilots at the beginning.
With Katie Sackhoff, right?
Yeah, he was one of the pilots.
Which one was he?
I don't know his name, but if you saw him, it's been a while. It's been forever since I watched that show. But he was one.
I just watched it. I love Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, he was one of the younger guys. One of the guys we know. I don't know if Ken, you might know Howard Brown. The one guy we know from Philly does an awesome Cylon costume.
I think I met him at Fan Expo this year.
He was Crash Down. No kidding.
Yeah.
Crash Down. He was the ASS hole.
Yeah,
Who they kill in like one of the, because he was like a total jerk in that.
Yeah.
Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, so
I wanted to shoot him. he was such a jerk in that show. I know.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, he was in it. I think he do the voice for one of the stormtroopers in
Rogue One. I thought.
No,
Really?
Solo. The one standing on the pen when Chewie was
Kill him slower. That guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
I think one of those guys did the voice too.
Okay.
I think. I don't know. I just remember, since he was with Lucasfilm for the voice of Darth Maul, they've used him a lot in voice stuff. Well, Jon Favreau did the Pre-Vizsla. That's what got him hooked on the Mandalorian lore.
He also was the voice of Rio Durant in Solo.
Yeah.
The multi-armed pilot.
Yeah.
And obviously, he's Paz Vizsla in The Mandalorian.
Right. That's like a dream come true.
Well, he's the voice of Paz Vizsla.
Right.
The body is somebody else.
Unless you get the action figure, then it's with the helmet, you know.
The Comic-Con exclusive?
Yeah.
For
The Comic-Con
Still sad I had to cancel my pre-order on that one.
Yeah.
Because I have the Dave Filoni as Trapper Wolf, but I did have to cancel the Paz Vizsla figure.
Dave Filoni, man, that's my next get for I gotta visit. That's who I want to meet. That's my goal.
See, I was thinking you were telling us that Zoe was going to have Sam Witwer on because he's out in California, not too far from Magic Jump.
Zoe, yeah, right. Zoe and Lizzie sat next to him in Celebration Orlando, and when they told me, I said, "Well, did you ask him to be on the show?" And they're like, "No." I said, "What's wrong with you?"
Did you give him one of your postcards?
That's what I said. That was the second sentence. Did you at least give him your card?
I've hung out with you, and I was giving out your postcards when we were together in Fan Expo.
I got 7 years of this, man.
I should be your media guy.
Yeah.
Well, make sure when Zoe has lunch with Brendan Wayne, make sure she mentions the inflatable Falcon.
I will
at least once.
I will. I'm telling you, I after listening to him, I definitely want to do that costume. Like, I appreciate that costume so much more. No offense to you, John. I think you do a wonderful Mandalorian, and I love it. But it never inspired me to do it but then I see him, and he's only I think he's like 4 years younger than me. So I was like, I can, I could eat a little less and run maybe, and it'll look okay. You know.
What costume is he?
He's the one of the stunt doubles for the Mandalorian.
Well, and now this is what I found out. He's not a stunt double. Did you know that?
Yeah, he's just he's the gun guy.
He's in the suit. The only time he's not in the suit is when there's martial arts or stunts being done, or the helmet's off. That's the only time he's not in the suit.
Really?
Yeah. And he is so protective of the other actors, he doesn't let them take his picture with the helmet off.
On set.
So like when they took all those pictures with the 501st, when they filmed those scenes, he left his helmet on because he didn't want to take away from Pedro Pascal or the gentleman that does all the stunt work.
Lateef Crowder.
Well, he's like,
hold on. Let's pump the brakes here for a second. I think I'm lost. Pedro Pascal doesn't do the Mandalorian anymore?
Oh no, he
still
does
does the voice and like the face shots,
right?
But otherwise, there's two other guys that played the Mandalorian.
That's not him in all those scenes.
No,
99% of it. No,
like since the beginning.
Yes,
I never knew that. I always thought that he was.
It's John Wayne's grandson.
No kidding. Okay.
Yeah. So I just want to make so it's John Senior, right? I want to make sure I get that right.
Yes, John. Yeah, John and John.
So I don't know if John Jr. has told you this, but you have just stepped on board one of the nerdiest podcasts that you could possibly be involved in.
No, that's okay.
Where the three of us have such a collective array or cachet of random bits of information that it may scare you. Just wanted to put that out there for you.
Yeah, we might have to slow it down at some points.
Yeah, you might have to. Some of this you
pump
gotta.
We understand the phrase "pump the brakes," or can we drop out of hyperspace for a moment?
But Brendan Wayne is, I guess they called him in for a fitting, and then they liked him the way he walked in the suit and all that, and yeah, he's the only thing I learned, John, is that holster is attached to his leg.
Really?
Yeah, there's a hole of the suit. There's a hole that goes through, and he wears a strap that connects to it. And the only time the scenes where it's not hooked to his leg is when he's sitting down. Because he told him in the suit, he was like, "You can't have a holster and expect me to pull this gun out if it's not attached to my leg." And they didn't want to strap around it because I guess they knew the Book of Boba Fett was going to have a strap around his, and Han Solo has one, so they wanted it to be different. So,
well, I might have to actually do that for my own.
Yeah, you have to listen to the I think that's the Armor Party interview with him. He talks about that.
So when are you going to get him on here?
Dude, what did I tell you?
Well, he's already been on Star Wars Geek Girl.
Listen, when she comes back, when after she has lunch with him, and I'm sure all that relationship, then I might hit him up. But again,
2023 is what he's saying. John Jr.
We'll see. Well, you know what? Maybe it'll be the point where Zoe's working out there, and she can just come on every Wednesday. She'll be like, that would be the best news ever. She's like, well, I can't do it anymore because I have a job with Lucasfilm. I'd be like, okay. So,
yeah. A little backstory: Mike's daughter is in film school right now out in California,
and Lucasfilm.
No. She goes to Temple, but we somehow stumbled into knowing a bunch of Star Wars people. So there's a lot of people that work at Lucasfilm that's trying to help her out. So
Zoe has interviewed a lot of people who've either been voice actors or authors or actors from various Star Wars things because of her 7-year stretch of her podcast.
Yeah, she started doing a podcast. She just turned 21. She started doing her podcast when she was 13. So she's been doing her Star Wars forever, it seems like. And she's lucked out. She's had panels at the last 3 celebrations. So possibly the one in London. I'll find that out soon enough.
And she's 77 times cooler than all 4 of us combined.
That's true. That's true.
Did you pick 77 because Star Wars came out in 77?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And she's a Mandalorian. She does the Sabine.
4 Sabines.
Yep. And my other daughter does a droid. So if you ever see pictures of John with 000, that's my other daughter. That's Black C-3PO.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
That's my
he's
other
I don't think I've ever seen that picture.
he's not up on the like the extended lore.
Oh, now did you see the pictures of John when we did the movie with C-3PO and Chewbacca?
Yes.
Okay, because
Is
that's
that
that's
like in the sand dunes or something? Or
yeah,
where
that's a friend of our Dan, and it does C-3PO, and Marty does R2D2. So
And
Like,
that
I think
world
the
famous
person-
boom operator.
the one that looked like Han, actually, I think really looked like Han, wasn't he?
yeah, that's Matt, the director.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's my daughter right there.
And you know what? I never knew there was a black C-3PO.
It's from the comic. It's from the comic book.
And
He's pretty-
what's the number?
000.
000.
Yeah,
So it's C000.
Nope.
Just 000.
3 zeros.
Is it a Sith? What's with the red eyes?
it's a killing machine. It enjoys killing people. Like it gets mad when it's torturing someone and they die too soon. That's the only time he really gets mad, is if they die too soon.
Which says a lot about, you know,
Her-
Mike's daughter, but we don't
I
want to
know.
go down
I
Well-
was
that
just
path.
gonna say maybe counseling, something
I
you could work through those issues.
don't know. I'm always worried that I could get in trouble. Just bolting her into the suit takes almost 45 minutes. So it's probably child abuse in
Dang.
some states. Yeah, John saw us. I think you saw him put her in it. It's a process.
It's not
You
like
know.
Velcro. It's actual bolts.
No, it's actually, it has to be bolted onto her, and then she can only see through the little tiny straws of eyes, and that little hole in the mouth is the only place she gets air. It's
that may be a call to CSB or whatever you guys call it there.
but
Children's Services. Yeah.
when we were in Chicago, she was in it for 6 hours a day almost.
Holy crap.
It would take us, just to get to the convention, it would take 2 hours because people kept stopping us for pictures. Just to get, so the second 2 days we had to take the helmet off and put a towel around her so they didn't know she was in costume, so we could get her to the floor so she could walk around. But Bandai gave me a free 000 kit because they wanted pictures of her holding their model. So I was like, okay.
How old is she?
She just turned 19.
Okay, so it's not child abuse anymore. It's
No, but
voluntary.
she started that when she was like 15.
Okay.
So, but
Now
yeah,
it's
that's
torture and kidnapping.
yes.
Yeah.
But she has Fennec. That's much easier to put on.
How'd she pick 000? What was the of all the?
She wanted to do a droid, and she's like a little on the dark side. Like my other daughter, if you had to pick, like Zoe's all for the rebels, and she does Sabine, which is bright colors, and Safi's always like the darker. She did Tusken Raider first, or she did Jawa. Then her Tusken mask is right over my shoulder here.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the droids, we looked at droids, and she was wanted to do C-3PO, but I didn't have the painting skills to pull off the silver and gold. And then we saw 000, and she really liked that. So, and it was evil and it had red eyes. So she's like, yeah, I'll do that. So I'll do a C-3PO for her. I just have to get the painting process down, because C-3PO is silver with gold glaze. He's not gold. So it's just
Make a
weird thing.
wrap or something. You could.
I've seen guys. Dan uses like some wrapping film for the edges, but
Mhm.
since I'm making it for some of those suits, when you make them so fragile, I don't want to make it so fragile that I don't want her to wear it. Like I know guys that have C-3PO and they'll only wear it like twice a year because they don't want to scratch it or break it. You know, it's vacuum or it's a special paint. There's a couple ways to paint it that it's just as durable as like automotive paint. So it's just a matter of I just got to practice. And the problem is it comes down to, in where I live in Pennsylvania, when I go to practice, I got to make sure if I'm going to paint it, because of humidity, that gold and silver will change color. So I have to have it all set up and paint the whole thing all at once to be, and then I just get too many projects going. I got like a Vader I'm working on, and what's the other, Commander Keeley, and all kind. I got in my kids.
A clone
suits.
trooper? Is that
Yeah,
Keeley?
that's Keeley.
Mhm.
That's Keeley.
And aren't you
So-
updating your TK?
Yeah, I cracked my TK, so my TK is I really gotta get my TK done, because that's
And then
my
you helped me with my Pinto version of Dindajaran.
Dinjarin. Yeah, so
Then don't forget you got Zoe's TIE Pilot.
Zoe's TIE Pilot. I have live action Sabine whenever that comes out. So because I looked
have
out
to get a TK armor outfit.
Oh yeah,
That's
well,
what I want more than anything
We heard
else.
it here first.
yeah. Well, it's funny because it's like I built my first TK to join the 501st in 2007, and I've been in ever since, and it's fun. I mean, and I wear the same. John wore my kit. I mean, it was way big for him, but John wore my kit. But the TK is an easy kit. Like once you start it, I know John's like hesitant, but once you get those first couple pieces, it just goes pretty straightforward.
I just want the standard.
Yep.
New Hope or
Yep.
Empire, because I know there's variances, right, between
Empire has
and even up to Return of the Jedi, right? Is
Oh,
there
yeah,
variance in the suits?
the Return of the Jedi one. No offense to Jedi people, but they're not as nice looking as you realize because they had like a lot of the suits were cracked when they made Jedi, so they put weathering stripping around the edges. And so if you look at Jedi, it almost looks like a costume compared to the first two movies. Empire has the black teeth. The frown is painted black. And then New Hope has
The eyes aren't the same or something, right? Is there something wrong with the eyes?
Yeah, well,
that's all three.
All three, the eyes are one size bigger than the other.
Because it was actually carved by hand and then formed over the top. So that's why it's asymmetrical. Plus the slots on the side aren't those stickers?
Yeah, and then the Sand Trooper, when they put the Sand Troopers together, depending on which Sand Trooper you do, the brow is in a different spot. Like there's probably, I don't even know how many CRLs for Stormtroopers there are, but I like New Hope the best.
That's probably the one I would do is a New Hope, but
the New Hope, then they also have the versions that Han and Luke wore too, which are slightly different. But the basic New Hope Stormtrooper is probably the most iconic.
That's probably the one I will do eventually.
Yeah.
I can't do a TK because I'm too worried about someone come up to me and say, "Aren't you a little fat to be a Stormtrooper?"
Well, I lucked out because the last time I wore my Stormtrooper, I was slightly heavier. I felt good when I was putting it on for this wedding. So I was like, oh, I must have, that's how I could care less about health or anything, but it's how my armor fits.
What was the standard height, like, according to, like, I don't know, Wikipedia?
It was 5'11".
That's the standard height of a Stormtrooper, so I'm like way short then. Oh,
well, but the Stormtroopers, I think it was some of them, most of them though in the movie were 5'9". I think the guys in Tunisia when they did the Sand Troopers, I think they were like 5'9".
What about like on the Death Star scenes?
Yeah, you're probably like 5'11", but the helmet adds a couple inches, and so
and the heel of the boots a little.
Yeah, the heel, little boots. Unless you do the Rogue One troopers don't have heels on their boots. This is what we look at. When the first time I saw Rogue One, the one thing I noticed was they have different boots because their sole is perfectly flat in Rogue One boots, and the New Hope and all the other ones have a little bit of a heel.
And none of them carry a grappling hook, do they?
There's only one grappling hook in the Death Star, and Luke happened to get that one, And
that was a specialized field,
Yeah.
Troopers, sure.
Yeah, I can't stand the Kenobi / Andor troopers. The first thing I noticed was there were no joining strips.
Oh yeah, and they have the USB plugs in their stomach too.
Yeah,
the Rogue One has a USB plug in the stomach plate.
Hold on, the hyperdrive is failing. What was that? What's the joining strip?
So if you look at the Stormtroopers, where the seams would be on like all of the, like your forearms, your biceps, thighs, calves.
What do you mean by seams? Like where they physically put the two halves together?
Yeah. Yes. They put a strip of plastic over top of it.
Okay. And in A New Hope or in the Rogue One movie?
In A New Hope. And in everything up to Kenobi, because the ones in Kenobi are different from the ones in like Rogue One and Solo.
Now, some of the ones in Kenobi are 501st members.
Right.
So,
but the hero costumes are different.
Wait a minute, I thought the 501st was clone troopers. Why would they be stormtroopers?
501st guys being
in real life
costume club.
Oh, okay. Don't get me confused here.
Yeah,
it's gonna be easy to do that.
I'm a beginner nerd.
Oh, we're sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, the 501st guys, like Michael Bender and the one guy, I forget. Paul, he does droid, and I sold him droid parts over the pandemic, and then he was in it too. So it's just funny that we have guys that were in the movies, in our groups.
Steele Saunders.
Steele Saunders. Oh
Hey,
man,
Jack,
that's
send
so
us
funny.
Are you able to
Huh?
pick him out if you saw him?
I wouldn't. I know Ajax Citizen.
Ajax Citizen. Yeah. So there's a comedian, Steele Saunders. He does a Star Wars podcast. He's from Australia, and he's a friend of mine. And he has twice done podcasts with my daughter on Celebration stage, just because Lizzie couldn't make it. Her partner lives on the other side of the country. Well, he was doing her live podcast at Anaheim. We were at Anaheim, and right at the beginning, I think he announced and showed us that he was on. He had a split cameo in Kenobi. He was a townsperson name, and he just named himself Ajax Citizen. So because Ajax was the code name of the city when they were taking the extras to the town, it was called Ajax.
Speaking of town, I would love to be able to visit the town that they have on Ferrix for Andor, because they built that city, that town, full scale. And I hope they didn't tear it down. I hope we could just someday go and walk through, Rick's Road and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Where was
Well,
that
it'll
filmed
be.
at?
Yeah, where was it filmed, Ken?
It was filmed in California. No,
Okay.
no, sorry, no, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. I'm not sure if that was filmed
Scotland?
in England or not. Like just in Europe somewhere, because
I know
many of the sets are in Europe.
Yeah, because it wasn't the dam. Isn't that in Scotland?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's I think,
and many of the Aldani's things, like when they were they were herding goats and walking through those big mountain passes. I think that was the Highlands of Scotland.
Yeah, that was cool.
I kind of figured that was a gimme on that one.
Well, yeah, and I know like the garden where they filmed the forest where they filmed Force Awakens. I think you can get tours of that now. Where Rey and Kylo fought in that, not where the ending battle, but the first battle when he captured her.
Yeah.
It's a like a garden, like a what we would call a park around here, but it has like paths through it and stuff, and you can go on a tour there. You can go to the island where Luke was, but that's like weird. You can only go certain times a year because of nesting birds.
That's Skellig Michael.
Yeah, Skellig Michael. So yeah, it's always neat when they see, because some guys have been hiking up to where Grogu was stolen. Because
that's in California, I thought.
Yeah, some guys that like Gordon Tarpley and a couple other guys I follow that do droid building stuff. They hike in that area, so they'll just take a picture. Hey, there's where Grogu, because they just superimpose those big rocks on top, So that's always fun.
Sweet. Are you guys going to that? What's that thing we're going to next in December?
Steel City Con.
Yeah. Are you guys going to that?
So far, so good. My only issue is Zoe comes home that week, so it depends when I pick her up. So hope she's saying it's Wednesday, so everything's still a go. She comes home unless she has a job, then she doesn't come home. But she graduates December 7th. So. And
to go back in time just a little bit, Ferrix was actually filmed in the village of Little Marlow in Buckinghamshire, England.
Oh, that sounds like they should be filming Lord of the Rings there.
Yeah. The Rings of Power.
Yeah, the Rings of Power.
Well, oddly enough, Schmeagol made it into Andor.
Yeah. And he's also the villain from one of the villains. He was the Claw from Black Panther.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Well, he's now been in Star Wars 2 times.
Yeah,
because he was the voice of Supreme Leader Snoke.
Yeah.
And he was the body double.
Yeah. That's right. He did all the motion capture.
Yeah.
And Steele got him holding your Snoke series sucks. He got him holding one of those signs when he ran into him one time.
Are you talking about the Planet of the Apes?
Full circle. Yeah. It's full circle.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he did Planet of the Apes.
You're more of a nerd than you say you are.
Well, Andy Serkis is one of those guys who I think he saw something he was good at, and just concentrated on that because he was there for a while as like the mocap guy, and he started like a whole like genre of mocap. Even when they don't want him, they hire him to teach their mocap people how to mocap.
Well, if we didn't have Jar Jar Binks, we wouldn't have Andy
That's
Serkis
true
doing
too.
all that work.
True.
So we got to thank Ahmed Best for that.
Yeah. Well, Ahmed got that nice. I like that show he was doing. Did you guys watch his show, the Jedi Challenge?
Temple, yeah, the Jedi, Jedi Challenge.
It was
on
like
YouTube.
it was like a what? It's like a kids competition show, right? Didn't it compete?
Yep.
Yeah, that was a neat show.
He was a Sith Lord. Why would he be doing a Jedi show?
Darth Jar Jar.
There's a guy.
He was behind the whole thing. Yep.
There's a guy that comes to Steel City in the Jar Jar Sith costume. He has a full Jar Jar, and then he has the black robes, and the eye stalks are sticking out the hood and stuff.
I need him as my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was. I don't know if it's the same guy that does OBGYN Kenobi, but there's another guy that does OBGYN Kenobi, and he's in a
like a doctor's
Jedi robe, but he has a doctor's hat and the OBGYN tools. It's disturbing and funny at the same time.
That is disturbing and funny, yes.
The fun days of Steel City. But I think I have a sticker from the OBGYN guy somewhere. Kenobi, not someone just tunes in.
It's not like a
commercial.
Not a subscription, but an appointment.
Yes. Let me see.
Mike, have you heard anything about the hotel discounts for Steel City yet?
I have not, and that is on my list of things to call this Friday. I was going to call them today, but my students, I think, all ate tons of sugar or something because my students were wacky. And between our one block, some kid saved milk from the beginning of the year, smashed it in the middle of the hallway.
Awesome.
And then the kid threw up. Oh. So the whole side of our building smelled like throw up. And
sour milk.
Yeah.
And sour milk. So
that's awesome.
That was my lunchtime in the middle of the day, and I just didn't feel. I was like, I just want to go hide in my room, because then every kid comes in. It stinks out there. No kidding. Do your computer stuff. So I got to call them because again, my discount's not working, and that's causing pain. But I'm looking forward to Steel City. Steel City's, I was on the Steel City boards, and they keep saying, well, you should move it to downtown Pittsburgh. And some people made some good points. They were like, if you move it to Pittsburgh, you're just going to increase everyone's cost. Everyone's got to pay for parking. Just paying for parking alone, is going to kill you. Because I've gone to cons in Philly where my parking for 2 days is $110, and that's before I get tickets and everything else. So
where is SteelCon now then?
It's in Monroeville. It's
okay.
Like right outside. It's on our side of Pittsburgh. It's nice. I mean, it is pretty. It's outgrowing the space, but I think they're putting some of the guests in the back of the hotel. I think. Did they do that when you were there last, John?
No, they hadn't done it yet. However, so when I did my troop on Saturday, we were actually talking about it. They did it for August.
Oh, okay.
They are in the conference room of the DoubleTree there.
I still think they could probably go through some of the vendors and say, hey, you know what? You've been trying to sell the same garbage for 10 years. Maybe you, because there is some stuff there that has been. I've been going there since 2009 or 10, and there's some stuff there that I think has been for sale every con.
Well, yeah, I mean, look at that back. So if you're looking at it from the front doors, that back right corner, they had the exact same stuff there in June, and in December. It's like is anybody really buying this?
Yeah, because some of that stuff is like it's almost like taking Archie comics to a comic book show. I'm sure there's a market for Archie comics, but there's not that many.
Right.
So that's but I don't know. It's still a good con. I just like that con compared to most. The price is really nice, and you're kind of trapped there. Like you're in con mode for whatever amount of time you decide to stay. So
I thought it was free. You told me it's free.
Well, guess again.
It's not free?
No.
How much does it cost to get in?
It's like 30-40 bucks.
Holy
For the whole
smokes!
weekend.
Yeah, it's
For the whole
3
weekend.
days.
Wow.
You haven't been to a con for a while.
I've never been to one ever.
So
That'll be my first
celebration.
one.
What were celebration tickets this?
There were
I think
2.
250. Yeah, 200, 250
The
for
Star
a
Wars
4-day.
celebration?
Oh
Yeah.
no, I was
In
thinking too
London.
much. That's
Yeah.
what I was thinking.
Yeah, no, I think they were 2. I want to say they were 2.25 or 250 for the 3 days per
I thought it
person.
was 4-day.
No, or 4 days. Yeah, it was 4 days this last time. So and like, well, even the cons, some of the cons we have in Lancaster are like $50 a day for a con. So it's you know,
Fan Expo is always expensive. It's like $90 for a 3-day pass.
yeah.
Granted, I don't know anyone that's going to Fan Expo for multiple days.
Now, do they troop Fan Expo?
Yes. Yeah, I think it's on our calendar.
Yeah, I mean that's another plus for I know ARC is thinking of joining the costuming groups, but that is one of the perks of the costuming groups in the sense that you do get some access, which is fun. Like we did RoboCon or RoboFest or something just recently.
Brickfest.
And they give it Brickfest, and they give us passes and stuff. Because I would have never paid to go to Brickfest before, but it was neat. You got to hang with some people. The droid builders. Do you have droid builders out there, John? Is there a big presence of droid builders?
I don't think so. I haven't in my short time in the 501st. I haven't heard anyone talk about it. Yeah,
the droid builders that's another good group. Start with a mouse droid. Get a Traxxas Bandit. Get yourself a nice mouse.
That's on my list of projects.
There was a mouse droid in Andor. I mean, that's a kind of a spoiler, but if you're spoiled about a mouse droid, that's But.
Well, not only was there
last week's episode.
That was
the newest one the newest one had a mouse droid in it.
Not only was there a mouse droid in it, it was a mouse droid with authority.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, that mouse droid drove direct, and Cyril had to make way for it instead of the other way around.
Yes.
That's how insignificant Cyril is.
Yeah. Yeah, Zoe really hates that guy.
Really? I think he's quite likable.
Fantastic.
Which one is he?
He's the guy who got fired.
Oh, the jerk off cop.
Yeah.
Damn. Popo.
Yeah, that was a.
No, he's more of a security guard than a police officer. He's like Paul Blart.
Yeah.
Mall cop. Sure.
Exactly.
But it's still. We talked about this a little bit, but it was funny though how the Empire works because they just used that as an excuse to save the day, and then all of a sudden the Empire's there. They were like, "Look, these guys came up and shot up your town. We got rid of them all. We'll be here to keep you safe."
Kind of like the mafia. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Or the government.
Or the government, right? You're safe with us.
But
and see, that's one of the things I think is fantastic about Andor is there are so many lines in Andor that are memorable and meaningful.
Mm-hmm.
So a couple episodes ago, when Skeen says, "The axe forgets and the tree remembers," that sort of thing. It just that one line alone carries so much weight and meaning to it. If you just listen to it and think through what that line is really saying.
Yeah.
Like Mon Mothma when she said that Palpatine will show you the stone in one hand so you don't notice the knife at your throat in the other.
Yep.
I think anything that Mon Mothma says is inspirational. That's why I watched the show, really.
You like Genevieve O'Reilly?
Oh my
You're
gosh.
real big fan.
Well, it's funny because
She is gorgeous.
When she talks to her friend, the banker, and they're supposed to be childhood friends. I'm like, wait a minute. Did that guy just age really badly? The guy, the banker guy. I'm like,
did.
Was he on Tatooine? 2 sons and.
Well, we don't know what the banking lifestyle is like.
We don't know what that's like. I mean,
I don't know, man.
The pressures of counting money and living in a vault or protecting a vault.
Right.
Yeah.
Those
Cash
credits are heavy. Very heavy. It can crush you.
Now, did you watch the Clone Wars with John when he was younger?
No, but I watched them all.
Was it last year or the year
Last
before?
year. Here's the thing. And this makes me probably a terrible Star Wars fan. I never liked the cartoon versions of anything. He said you've got to watch the Clone Wars, and I'm like, okay.
We're
And
still
I'm-
working on Rebels, by the way.
Well, how do you feel about them now? With
Now
what you've seen?
I love the Clone Wars were fantastic.
Yeah.
And the movie was what, from 97? When was the actual theatrical Clone Wars?
2008.
Okay, so that one I like that one as well, but
Right.
I have a new appreciation for him now. I didn't like him before. Rebels for me was hard. It's still hard for me to get through. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's just
Well,
I don't
it's the animation, at least with the Clone Wars. See, my daughter was at the perfect age when it came. So, like, when she saw Clone Wars, that was the first Star Wars movie I saw in theaters multiple times. Because I grew up, you went to the movies once. If you asked to go to a second kind, my grandfather would just smack you upside the head. You know what I mean? But we went and saw the Clone Wars over and over again, and it took me a little while to get used to that animation style.
The hyper marionation kind of thing.
Yeah, and then once you know, I liked what they could do with it that at the time you couldn't do with movies. You know, I like the ship battles, and when you know all, and just the size and the scope of those. And now the new ones, we won't spoil them for you, but is there 6? They're all done in that Clone Wars style. They came out today, and they're really.
I'm gonna watch those.
Was it my imagination, or did those 6? And I apologize for interrupting. Did those 6 episodes seem like the animation style advanced as you watched them?
Yes, according it was almost based on the time. It was like the earlier one, the first one, which took place before the Clone Wars, looked like a really, not a rough, but it looked like an older animation style almost.
Yeah, because I watched it this morning at 3 something in the morning, and I thought my brain was broken. Like I didn't know if it was really looking better as we watched them, or if it was just my imagination because I was up so early.
See, that's Dave Filoni. Like, Dave Filoni is like the heir apparent George Lucas, but Dave Filoni is so steeped in all sorts of Star Wars lore and all of other lore, like you know, history and stuff like that. And it just and he's such a film buff. Like, if you watch Clone Wars, he had that homage to like Godzilla when they fought the Zillo Beast, you know, and he has all those homages of those 1 or 2 episode things to different genres and stuff like that. And it's really cool to see what Dave Filoni can do. So.
And you said you haven't seen those yet, John?
I have not. No.
You'll really enjoy it. I tell you, the
I can't do the 3 a.m. thing.
Yeah,
I have to wait. Like, probably when we get done here, I may finally watch Andor
you'll enjoy it.
And then if not, I'll probably wait till tomorrow night and watch it. So
yeah,
it doesn't spoil it for me not to see it.
Yeah,
right
well,
away.
when my daughter was at home, it was like a thing for us. Like, we would get up before I went to work and we would watch it, you know, when she was living here at home, and when the Mandalorian came out, she would actually ride the train in from Philly, and we would watch it while she was in college in Philly. So for me, it was that was just what we did. But
he wouldn't wait. Like the Mandalorians, when they were released on Fridays originally, right?
Yeah,
he wouldn't wait because we could have watched it together on Friday, but he was too impatient. So we didn't have that thing.
Oh man, I'm sorry, John.
Could you get me a tissue, please?
You have to do the barn in the morning, and then you immediately go to work at 2 in the afternoon.
All right,
and you don't get off till 11.
Do we need family therapy here?
Yes, we do now.
Now, John, you have to show your dad my daughter's episode of Star Wars.
My Star Wars story.
Yeah, my Star Wars story.
Oh, if you want to talk about tissues, geez, Louise.
Well, so you're a toy guy, right? So you like Star Wars toys because John shows us partially your collection and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But
the 16 AT-ATs.
Yeah. So the guy who did our Star Wars stories is Jordan Hembrough from Toy Hunter. I don't know if you ever saw Toy Hunter. He also does Toys That Made America. That's his new show now.
Yes.
But I've been to his shop. He has the original 12, a bunch of them down in his basement of his shop, still on cards, graded and everything. Like he has remarkable collection stuff. So,
Wow.
well, he's one of those. His shop is more like if
A
you're
boutique.
super rich, and you're like, hey Jordan, I want the first 12 Star Wars figures on cards. Can you get them for me? And he's like, okay, that's what he does for. I'm like, that's like the best living ever.
Nice. I don't have 16, by the way.
How many-
I think we have 8.
Are you guys
up to and including though? The last one was the Rogue One, right?
Yeah.
We have 8 including that one. I have 4 originals. Then we have the 2. We have the Endor and the Power of the Force one. We have the supersized one, and I can't remember what it's called now. Remember there was an AT-AT that was like supersized?
Yeah.
That was during the Clone Wars, I thought.
Yeah,
the Clone Wars era.
Okay, and then we have the Rogue One. So we have 8 of them.
Nice.
The one with the orange cargo.
Yes.
hold?
Mhm.
Okay.
Right. I still think John should 3D print you one to scale. Because how tall did I say it would be? Like 6 or 9 feet? If you printed it to I forget. I
For
did
the
the
6-inch
measurement.
scale figures?
No, to the 3-inch
The
figures.
3-inch.
I think it's like 6 foot in the back or something like that tall at the highest point or something. I don't know.
It
But you
has
can
to be at
scale it out.
least. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be cool though. To scale one.
Is that my mic going?
Oh, I thought that was mine.
I hear a buzzing, but it's gone. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, see, I thought you each had 8. That's where I came up with 16.
No.
I'm sorry.
I think they're trying to do their own Industrial Light and Magic shop in their basement. Soon they'll have those out, and they'll have the little wire things on, making them move. Make some
Doing your best Phil Tippett impression?
Yeah, Phil
No,
Tippett.
I'll have a trap door in the floor, and you
Yeah,
pop
yeah.
out and you move it, and then you pop back down.
Yep. Get your soap flakes for your snow. There you go.
What was the
Just
show
don't breathe
with,
it.
about Lucasfilm called?
Light and magic.
Light and magic.
Light
Yeah.
Magic. Yeah, where they showed how
Oh.
they did it. It was fantastic.
Yeah, that was so good, wasn't it?
I mean, that was really good. Some of the stuff I didn't realize how they did it. Like some
Yeah.
of the things that were right side up were shot upside down.
Like the Star Destroyer.
Yes, I never
Yes.
realized that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's the stuff that got my daughter. Like, I was interested in making movies, but I grew up in the age where if you went to anyone and said, "Hey, I want to make movies," they'd say, "Shut up and get a job that pays money." You know what I mean? So when my daughter showed interest in that, I tried to make sure I did everything to let her chase that dream. So hopefully it works out. If not, she'll have to chase another dream now. I have complete faith in my kid. Huh?
So you never forced me to chase any dreams.
I didn't force anyone.
I encourage you to chase dreams.
No, you got AT-ATs and you got Corvettes and you got Din Djarin. You got a dad that'll be on your podcast. Zoe has never invited me on her podcast ever. 7 years.
Yeah, consider yourself blessed.
Wow,
See?
I've been on 2 now.
Yeah.
See?
Also, Ken, the
Hey,
horses.
by the way,
not
this shirt.
not a plus.
I haven't worn this shirt in probably a month. It was just blind luck. I didn't know it's going to be the inflatable Falcon.
Hold on,
See,
wait
there
a
we
minute.
go.
Are we wearing the same shirts? No, you wore your ad.
No, I have
shirt.
my blueprinted Falcon.
I
No,
like that
it's-
blue printed one.
I was talking about because like when we did our episode of the Best Scar Bucket, because I know I was wearing this shirt.
That's your official.
I was wearing my AT-AT shirt. I believe that said "not today."
I think so.
You know where
cool.
where
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
where they
yeah.
they
You
make
need
it
to roll the
fall,
tape.
Yeah,
where after
yeah.
they wrap the legs and it falls before they blow it up. It's that
Yeah.
shirt and it says "not today." Kind of like,
That's funny. That's funny.
Okay, so totally random question. I always like to ask this to everybody that's I meet that's Star Wars. If you were in the Star Wars universe, would you be a rebel or would you be with the Empire?
I know Mike's answer.
I'd have to say the Empire.
Oh my gosh, I'd be so the Empire. There's so many more opportunities for advancement.
Ken, what about you?
The clothes
I'd be
are
a merc.
fantastic.
I'd be the person in the middle. Whoever pays the best.
Oh, you'd be like Skarsgård or Skarsgård's. What is his name? The guy who's like
Are you talking about
antique.
Luthen? He's a rebel, Dad.
I know, but he's kind of playing the middle because
he
he's
though?
he's not totally out as a rebel yet.
Well, it's just because right now he's living a world of lies. I would be more along the lines of Han Solo or DJ or even Boba Fett to a certain degree. Just not as cool because I don't have spurs and Django when I walk.
Well,
But
in
you have a
all
spear.
I
In
do
all-
have a spear.
in all reality, I would wind up being like Watto. I would be the junk man. I just know that's. I would want to be anything cool, but I would just be like the Sanford and Son of Star Wars. It would just be, that would be me. Because if you see my garage, it's nothing but projects and junk. So.
And hey, get the VW bus.
I know. I got to get. That's just.
He
one
has
of
a
those
VW
things.
bus.
I just got to get that moving.
It
I
just
would
doesn't drive right now.
absolutely be drawn to like Empire, the intelligence units that you see in Andor, in the white.
The ISB.
Yep.
I would. I'm not gonna lie. I'd be ISB. That kind of either that or the only other thing would be some sort of like in the officer ranks of the Empire. But I don't know why. I would totally be drawn to that. I would not be in the rebellion. I'd be like those rebel scum.
Well, so not to be brought into that, but like that's one of the reasons, costuming wise, I think I like the Empire because
they're cool.
But also like if I'm in my stormtrooper doing an event, I get for those whatever amount of time, I'm not me. I get to just be. I don't like showing my face. I just have my helmet on, all that stuff, and that's the cool part about what we do. And then John looks enough like Kylo that he can do a Kylo too. So
he does. I'm so proud.
Need a tissue?
I do. I need another tissue, please. Okay, one more question. If you had
you only get two.
Jedi powers, would you be a Jedi or would you be a Sith? I think you know my answer. I've already told you I love the Empire.
It depends on the day of the week, because the week I've had, I might start out saying I'm going to be a Jedi, but today there would have been some casualties. I think
you would have been Anakin in that council room today.
I'd have been Anakin like 110%.
What are you going to do?
I'd be like, you little brats. No, I would so be a Sith. I mean, I would so misuse the Force. It would be funny.
I think the next discussion
to have me locked up in the ray shields.
That's true.
All the time.
But the next discussion to have in a couple weeks is, once we digest it all, is my thoughts on Dooku have completely changed after today's cartoons.
Why is that?
Really? You got to watch him first.
About him.
You got to watch him first.
Like he's not evil?
You just got to watch. It's just
okay.
It just sometimes when you hear and I quoted Obi-Wan already again, but it's a certain point of view when I see that cartoon, I need to go back and rewatch all the second and third movie with Dooku to rethink Dooku.
See, for me watching it, I like Dooku even less.
See, I don't know,
because I can appreciate where he came from and where he ended up. However, it still comes back to choice for me when it comes to whether you're a Sith or a Jedi, and are your choices to benefit others, or are your choices self-centered and selfish?
Right, but that's when I see that I might be seeing it different. We'll talk about it later when we'll have John back on and when we've all seen it, because I know exactly what you're talking about, but I think I might come at it from a different point. Like, I think I got to rewatch it again to make sure I didn't miss anything. But I did like his costume. I was telling you that costume.
Thought the entire.
He's not wearing the same thing from the movies.
Mm-mm.
Really,
and he's not wearing pajamas either.
No, it's a neat. I can't wait to see someone do that.
Yeah,
that
with
costume.
the blue saber.
Yeah, with the blue saber.
Sorry, spoiler.
The blue
I apologize for that.
But,
did you know
the dark saber, or is it like an actual lightsaber?
It is the curved lightsaber.
It's his curved hilt. The curved hilt.
So did you know that the shape of that saber is actually built on Christopher Lee's personal history?
Oh, because he was in the wasn't he a spy?
He was in the British Secret Service.
He was in the British Secret Service, and so I think the sword that they used in as part of that uniform had that curved sort of hilt to it.
Yeah, because most of his records
actually MI6.
No, his was whatever he did. His records were still sealed or something like that. Like he was like, I forget. It was like MI6 but slightly different. I forget what it was called, but it was a weird name. Like he was a spy. I mean, you know.
Really?
And it's the only saber that's like that, really. That style, that design.
And then it was given to Ventress had similar.
Right,
Similar.
because she was his apprentice. However, another Christopher Lee tidbit that I learned today.
He's dead.
Yeah, that was like 7 years
Spoiler.
ago.
Spoiler alert. Yeah.
But in Lord of the Rings, when Saruman gets stabbed in the back, Peter Jackson wanted him to like let loose this like shrill almost, but he was like, that's not what happens when you get stabbed in the back. You just like gasp because
he was stabbed in the back, I thought.
Yeah.
Wasn't he?
I don't know if he was or if he had witnessed it, but
or stabbed somebody.
Or stabbed somebody. But he knew, and Peter Jackson was just like, you know, at that point, I'm gonna let him do his thing because he would know better than I would.
Yeah.
So here's another thing. Speaking of Christopher Lee, he and Palpatine were in another movie together, which is one of my all-time favorites. You know what it was?
What's that?
Sleepy Hollow with Johnny Depp.
Oh, really?
Palpatine played the. Actually, I think he played the priest, which is ironic. He was the Reverend in the movie, and Christopher Lee was the judge in the movie.
Oh.
But it was the movie. It's the Legend of Sleepy Hollow with Johnny Depp from '99. So it would have come out.
Been 3 years before it
came out.
Clones.
It came out 2 years, before. So they probably were filming Clones, and they also either simultaneously or just before just filmed this movie.
Yeah,
and that wasn't the only movie that he was with Johnny Depp in. He actually played Johnny Depp's father in the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory movie.
Oh,
he was the dentist.
Christopher Lee was?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
No, I was. They were. That's the. And funny, I think that's the only other movie I ever think I can remember seeing Palpatine in.
Yeah, because I was going to say I don't remember seeing Palpatine in pretty much anything.
I thought he was more of a theater guy.
Yeah.
But he was really. I watch that every Halloween. Watch The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. It's one of my favorite movies ever. But they're both in it.
I'll have to. I'll have to rewatch it. I still think if which I know this is blasphemy, but if they put Johnny Depp as Hondo, I'd be so happy.
Mm-hmm.
Put Johnny Depp in a Hondo costume. Come on.
Well, look, Disney already backed up the Brinks truck for him to come back as Jack Sparrow.
Yeah.
I mean, just throw a little bit more.
He was exonerated. Okay, all charges. We're all family again now with Disney.
Well, I want a live action Hondo. That's what I want. I don't care. I got give me live
everyone
action.
Else.
Now, so I forgot to tell you when I trooped. I told you about the guy I trooped with Sunday that had the or Saturday that had the blaster that snapped on his back. He's working on Cad Bane from The Mandalorian.
Really?
Wow,
that would be a cool costume.
Because we were talking masks, because he was showing me a mask, and I was explaining to him like most of the Cad Banes I've seen lately have been like bobbleheads because they buy the rubber mask that pops over, and so the head has to be like that mask I have wherever it is. You can't really wear it because the neck's so small. So guys get them a little big, but there's one where you can put the back of the head on and then the face goes on with magnets and then the jaw's missing. And that's what I was showing him some files for that. So,
that's cool.
Do they have a way to synthesize the voice though? Because that's half the character is his voice.
Probably someone has. I wouldn't be surprised if someone.
Well,
but the nice thing
don't they have like larynx mics? Where
you can get
attached.
Because a lot of the stormtroopers wear them so they don't get it stuck up their nose like I did when they put their helmet on.
You missed that story.
Apparently, but I didn't know you can change your voice to sound like the stormtroopers.
Yeah.
I have
get that.
I have it's called a ROM FX, and it digitizes a little bit, but it puts the static burst every time you're done talking.
Nice.
And can you get the larynx mic that work with any of those speakers?
I think they just have. I think they have mini. regular microphone jack plugs on them.
Oh, okay.
So I know some guys that used to wear them. Vaders used to wear them a lot too. Because I'm trying to find them.
Because there's a lot of room in those helmets.
Yeah, but see, the problem is with your electronics, it depends on who you are. Like, I know a lot of guys with tons of electronics in their helmet. And then some guys are like, look, you don't want a 9-volt battery where there's a lot of moisture. The thing could like pop. And then you have a big, you're missing a big block of hair in the back of your head and you have to go to work. Sorry, I'm bald back there because I have a 9-volt battery next to my head in my Star Wars helmet. So a lot of it depends on who you talk to. I know guys that have everything in their helmet, like all the electronics, and then some guys will just have a mic and then everything else is put up, somewhere else. So it just depends on. But with the Vader masks, depending on the mic, you want a mic that's super close to your mouth, and it's just easier to wear it. Like you put it on and then put the helmet on. When you mount it in the mic, that's one more wire. Because like I got to deal with Safi's head with the wires for her eyes. It's just a pain. Like I love costumes that don't have electronics on them.
Yeah, that's why I like Jawas.
Jaw. Has there ever been a Jawa? Has anyone ever tried to pull off a Jawa at normal size?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
There's tons.
Well, our friend. Wait a minute. Did you guys see Marcus's Jawa?
I love that. I didn't realize
he's a 5'8" Jawa or something. How tall is the guy?
Marcus did a really good take on
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I'm gonna see if I can pull it up here.
Yeah, I heard your voice in the back of that video, and I was like, "Wait a minute, did Mike help him build this?"
No, that wasn't me. I don't think that was me.
Hang on, there. I already trooped for the Jawa.
Oh yeah, okay. That's 501st though, Jawa.
Yeah, they can't discriminate by size. So you could be a 5-foot Vader, or you could be a 6-foot Jawa.
See, that's another thing too. I would totally be like Director Krennic.
I have the costume, and you could actually pull it off.
I mean, actually, that guy looks like he could be Director Krennic. He looks very.
Do you have a good British accent?
There, look.
Oh, look.
Now turn around.
Now the video's going weird because we got too many videos hooked up. Let me see.
That's funny. That's Marcus?
That's Marcus. He just finished it for his Halloween. Yeah, I don't know where. It's going screwy with all that, but yeah, he did that to ride a Jawa. I'd seen one. I saw a Jawa at Celebration where it was carrying a backpack and it had a BB-8 on it. And when the person wore the costume, their head was in the BB-8 top of the head.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Jawa was just on front of him. So it looked like a Jawa was carrying something, but it was literally just the person's body was in the backpack. My girls did Jawas for years, man. I'm a little biased towards small Jawa. I like the small Jawas, but
you can't discriminate, Mike.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah, you can't be sizist. Come on.
You're a sizist, yeah.
Well, the only thing that bugs me.
I identify as a short Jawa.
My Jawas. The only thing that bothers me with Jawas is when people just don't do the faces right. Like they try to, I don't know. They do something with the eyes. Like we saw Jawa the other day. The eyes were like humongous. It looked like an anime Jawa or something.
Has there ever actually shown what a true Jawa face looks like?
No. At one point they were saying it was a rat, and then I think that canon has changed.
Well, we do know that they're furry. That came through in the Mandalorian,
right?
According to
Pelimoto.
Yeah, Pelimoto. I was gonna say.
I still think she's one of those people that just yaps about stuff. I'm not going to believe what she says. I think she's. Yeah,
but you can see the fur in their cuffs when.
Yeah, I know they have to have furry hands. And here I'll show my Jawas. Whoops, wrong one. There.
I love that picture in the bottom left of you just. Oh, maybe I thought you were looking down.
This one here. That was it. That was we were there at 7 a.m. and it was like freezing cold. I was like, my Velcro wasn't sticking. It was Yeah, that's
Where is this at?
the Mummers Parade in 2009. Right there.
And
That's
those are your daughters?
my daughter's. Yeah. So
Now,
fun fact: I
Tyler
bought those
do
robes
that.
from Chris Bartlett, who plays all the droids in The Mandalorian and all the live action Star Wars stuff.
And Jedi Temple Challenge with Ahmed Best.
No, he didn't play that. The
Who
Jedi
was-
Temple.
who was that?
That was Gordon Tarplay.
Oh, okay. I'm a fake fan. I apologize.
Yeah. Gordon's the guy who I became friends with and sold me Safi's shorts for her 000. Like, I'm the fattest guy that knows all the droid people. Like, when I hung out at Celebration, they were all the skinniest people you'll ever meet, and then me. So they could all fit in suits, and they're like, "What?" I guess they just thought I was there to eat the
Well,
extra.
you could be a Ned droid.
I could be.
They're
a
on
Ned.
the husky
I
side.
could be a Ned. Probably not, though, man. There's probably still not a lot of room in those suits.
A
Yeah,
binary
I
load lifter.
Maybe. I could be that. Well, in the newest one, the one in the cartoon that was guarding that kid, I could be that one. In the barn.
2 ton.
2 ton?
2 ton. I could be 2 ton. what a name. 2
Which
ton.
I thought that was like, yeah, and I'm stuck here with 2 ton here. But
I-
no, that was his actual name.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, John Senior. That's a spoiler. I apologize.
Yeah. So if you see a droid that has an unfortunate name, that's who it is.
You could be the fairy droid, the astromech with arms and legs.
Oh yeah,
From
yeah.
the
That
Mandal-
seems like,
the season
that seems
finale
like a
of
fun
Mandalorian.
droid to be too. I'll
So,
stick to
hold
just
on. Are you talking about Andor and 2 ton?
yeah.
Tales
No
of the Jedi.
cartoon.
Oh, okay. Hey, speaking of Andor and droids, are either one of those droids K2SO?
Not that we know of.
Not that we know of. I would say no.
Is he going to be in the? You think he's going to be in Andor at all?
Season 2 is what
Season
they
2.
said.
Okay.
See, I think it was Celebration Chicago. Alan Tudyk did like a one-man show, which I think it was a one-man show, but I think Warwick Davis stopped by, so it was technically a two-man show. But Zoe stayed for it, and he was talking about Andor back then, like that it was coming out. So that was when was that? When was it? Chicago 17?
17.
2017. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was a scheduling conflict, though, is what kept him out of season
Yeah.
1, which is what they then replaced him with, because you got to have a droid companion of some sort.
Yeah.
And the little trash can droid.
That's the cutest droid, though. Isn't
Well,
it?
and Michael
I
Badley
want one
has
of those.
Michael Badley has all the files, and it works.
Stop
Oh,
it.
that's
The,
awesome.
the show just started 6 weeks ago.
Someone had Michael Badley. I think it was Michael Badley. I'm not. It could be Droid Division, but I'm pretty sure it's Michael Badley has the files, and they showed a skeleton version of all the electronics to go in it.
Really?
Mike, I
That's
don't need another
cool.
project.
No, you don't.
3D print, man. 3D print.
No.
Get those printers running.
He needs to 3D print himself a winter car right now.
Oh,
he can
okay.
Print.
Well, my
No winter
10-day
projects.
my 10-day print of the Sabine helmet
Yeah.
came out beautiful, except the scale.
Oh, is
Way
it too
too
small?
big.
Oh, it's
No.
too big. Uh-oh.
Oh boy.
Ken, are you working on your post imperial?
Yeah, still.
We haven't reached into the costume corner yet.
So, what do you need for Director Krennic to actually make it a full costume besides the boots?
Me? I need the pants.
That's it?
The pants and the boots, yeah. And then technically I
You
need
look
a
like
new-
Magneto.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's Magneto. What's Magneto from? That's
Yeah.
X-Men, right? Yeah,
Jesus. Fake nerd.
I know.
It's-
Hey, Star Wars is number 1. Star Trek is number 2.
The Browns are number 2. Let's not get the lines crossed here.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm not. I guess
Now
in
you're
a
really crossing streams. Here, and I'm not sure if we can.
science
we can have
fiction. I
that.
guess the Browns would be 2, but
See that Sabine helmet would fit a guy. You can.
Oh
use
yeah,
it
no,
as-
it's just too big for a girl, but it's pretty big. Like like sitting next to my head, it's pretty large. But
Yeah,
I
it'd
did
be
it
a
to test.
bobblehead.
I did
I'd
it
buy
to
that
test,
for $1.
like John. I get those weird squiggles in the front.
Yeah.
That thing's almost perfectly smooth because I ran that on the slowest setting. So
Huh.
I scaled it down to 87.5%.
Are you printing it
And-
again?
Yeah.
But this time it's only 9.5 days.
It's 7 days.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
That took 7 days to print.
that's
No, that
ten.
one took 10.
That took 10.
Dang.
So
Yeah,
Yours seem like they take 10 minutes. What?
well, because I print with thicker layer lines and faster settings.
yeah.
Like, that's because I do all the work with the Bondo,
Okay.
and I
And
like
Mike's
put
trying
work
to
into
avoid that
smoothing it
part.
out.
I'm lazy when it comes to Bondo. I like Bondo, but I'm just I don't have anything. Right now I have so many projects. I'm just trying to test my printers. So I'm just like trying to tweak settings and stuff like that. Like I printed this is my chest pieces. I'm starting to break them off I'm doing a Vader. So my
Well,
Vader
Mike, I mean,
helmet.
we've got a new project that we can work on in unison. I just need your I need to commission you for the printing part.
No, yeah, well, that's I think what I'll do is how about I look at the files I have because I have the files already. I'll start
Okay.
printing them. I'll start.
And
Printing
you're
them.
5'9", right? Or 5'10"?
I'm 5'10". Well, yeah, unless my knee's acting up, then I'm 5'9".
Okay.
Because I lean on my other leg. So,
So we
but
could
yeah.
do the Pinto version of Din Djarin at the same time.
Yeah. But yeah, there's my Vader, and there's my whatever that alien is. I just want to use that alien in Matt's movie. That's what I want to use.
What's the costume behind you?
That's
On the
Sabine.
mannequin?
That's
On the-
my daughter's season 1. That's her old version of Sabine.
Oh,
So
okay.
Sabine, every season they changed it. So she has 4 Sabine costumes, and I have a 5th one that I'm working on. And then we ran into a guy that does all the paint work for the live action Star Wars shows, and he showed me pictures of the live action Sabine. So I got to start working on that as soon as I get better pictures.
I'm surprised she didn't want to do the version of Sabine where she played an Imperial cadet.
Well, that's when we do. We have the Imperial pilot. We have the Imperial pilot, which is based off of the animated. The pilot I have for her is based on the animated one, and she has a Sabine wig for that, so she can take the helmet off and be the Sabine in that.
Would
And then
that be considered Rebel Legion?
Well, with the
that'd
helmet
still be
off,
501st, I think. Because
with the helmet off, it would be Rebel Legion. With the helmet on, it will be 501st.
Mm.
So, but yeah, that's
Yeah. See, my problem with the 10-day prints is I have to be sound conscious because he and I are heavy sleepers. The other 2 in our house are very much so not.
See,
and we have very thin walls.
My wife was annoyed a little bit by the printers, so I just built a print room. So
yeah, why don't you build a print room?
You got one downstairs. I want to hear it.
Needs to be soundproof.
It's your 3rd print room.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Well, I need to commission John for
are you
my
going in
Pinto armor.
costume to the Pittsburgh show?
Yeah.
What are you going to go in costume as?
The Mandalorian and Kylo Ren, because Mike better have his Vader done by then.
Maybe I should go. Maybe if I'm going to go, I should just go all in and be Director Krennic.
That's fine. I can get you some white hair dye.
Yeah, there you go.
Or just a wig. Come on. Easy peasy.
Hair dye. What any hair dye for?
You gotta get the color right.
He could be younger. He could be younger.
I'm a younger Krennic.
Yeah, but then you need the poncho and
that's true.
The hat.
The poncho.
From and you need a different rank badge because I don't think he was a
Well,
director.
you might just need a different rank. I mean, he probably wore different clothes depending on the weather.
I'm
going to wear the same stuff.
I'm going to be Director Krennic right before Rogue One. And he had just had his hair cut in a nice dye.
So that's probably coordinator Krennic. Then it probably wouldn't be director
Krennic.
It's coordinator Krennic.
Yeah,
human resource Krennic before he got promoted.
No, I mean I've got everything. We can try it on.
Well, you should listen to
once Galen screwed him, right? And he had to do all that work to find out how. That's when his hair got gray, like almost overnight.
There you go.
I'm going to be like the day before that happened.
you could do you got to find Steel Wars podcast when he interviewed what's his name, Krennic, the guy who plays Krennic.
Mars Madison? Or no, that's someone else.
That's Galen. You're thinking of that's Galen or so.
What's his name?
Ben Mendelsohn.
Ben Mendelsohn.
Yeah.
Ben,
He
I I knew there was a son in there somewhere.
He went to Steele's house because they both came from the same town from Australia, and they just like hung. It's like the world. It's. I was so jealous. I was like, why don't I know? Why can't someone from my town do something from Star Wars and then come hang out at my house?
That's your daughter, dude.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet.
What? How many people? She's closer to Star Wars than any of us. Come on.
Well, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, the best thing we have here was oh my god, what was his name? The lead singer of Warrant. Janie Lane.
Janie Lane.
Janie Lane went to the
school as
same
you.
high school as me.
Oh, nice.
Before he died from a heroin overdose.
Well, hey, you know. we know this.
Speaking of that, on a totally unrelated Cleveland Browns subject.
Speaking of heroin,
Yeah, speaking of heroin, the woman that does the in-game stuff, that was her name, Bridget or something.
Mm-hmm.
You know where she went to school?
You say Field.
Green High School. She was the MC last night for your cousin Grady when he got his award.
What?
Yeah, of all places, she was from that. She was from Green High School.
Sorry, you guys had to witness our little aside here.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
that's. I'm happy to hear it.
Bloodline. I couldn't think of the name of the show. You know,
Oh yeah, that's a good show. That's a good show.
that's the first time I ever saw Krennic was when he was in that show.
Yeah.
Long before I even knew about Rogue One.
You don't need to
He
yell.
was-
They can hear you.
He was
I'll be right back.
It's good. The levels are good.
he was outstanding in that show as a nut.
Here's what we were talking about with this stormtrooper. See, the eyes are different sizes.
Yeah.
That's how all the original ones were. This is a sand trooper, so he doesn't have the lines. He's missing the lines, and he's dirty, of course. So
Yeah.
That's why I couldn't be a sand trooper because I like my stuff clean. I got to be a Death Star trooper because they were nice and polished.
yeah. Well, the first time I wore my armor, my girls ran a wagon into it, and it put a big gash and red stripe on the leg, and that took forever to get out. Then I had a dog pee on me one time. We did a dog walk, and we were standing on both sides of the thing, and a dog came, lifted his leg, peed right on my leg. And then we did a elementary school where for some reason the teacher thought it would be a good idea to let us do autographs for the kids. All the kids came at us with Sharpies and index cards, and in my TK, I had to put my hands up above my head so I could see, to write. So by the end, my whole hand plates just had black and red marks all over them from all these little kids trying to get autographs from TK. If you're out there in TV land, don't ask TKs for autographs because we can't see.
Yeah. Speaking of sand troopers, I'm kind of locked into doing a sand trooper now
Nice.
because my the 3-button plate on the ab snapped on me. So we're locked into doing a sand trooper now.
But you could 3D print one.
Yeah.
True.
If you were allowed to print, you could 3D print one.
Yeah, it's a matter of also finding that very specific file.
Or ask Waltz. Waltz might send you a new one.
True. But I still really want to do a sand trooper.
Oh, I want you to do a sand trooper. I'm all for doing a sand trooper, but
I
then your dad will look
got
at
the
you.
magazines for you right there, buddy.
Yeah, we have the genuine Uzi pouches.
Nice. Yeah, if you use
because you have an Uzi.
Why asking so many questions? You from the
No, it
government
has.
or,
Well, you have to read those. You have to read those CRLs because there's specific ones now. Because it has to have the tool pouch on it. The little tiny tool pouch.
I have so many tabs up that I don't want to close.
I always thought it was just Uzi mags, like an Uzi mag pouch.
They're German. I forget. World War II German. I don't know if it's MP40. I don't know. I'd have to. But if you look on Mos Eisley Police Department, I think has them too.
Oh yeah, no,
Go
they're
back to
MP,
the picture of them.
They're MP40 pouches.
Yeah, MP40. That's what it is.
Can you blow that picture up? That's an MP40 pouch right there. That's not an Uzi pouch.
Right.
I guess.
God,
And
that
if you
looks just
so
like them.
it's IMA, IMA is a website that sells World War II reproductions and original stuff. If you're looking to get any of that, it's usually one of the cheaper places.
So what they do? Just paint it black?
Yeah,
Why does it look black in the pictures?
That looks
Yeah,
green.
Well, that's green, and the originals were green, but did they paint them black?
yeah,
to make
some of
it
them are painted black. If you look at the it just has to be super dark because a lot of those were shot on old cameras. It's like Vader's helmets. Vader's face is not black. Vader's face is gray and black. It's a checkered pattern until Revenge of the Sith. And then they made it all black because the cameras couldn't pick up all that black.
Hang on.
If
I'll show
you would probably enjoy a good CRL, travel down the CRLs.
Oh,
like,
geez, that's a
don't
wormhole that I'm
put
not
him
sure you're
onto
ready
that.
to step into.
no, but if you're going to be a stormtrooper, like I think I looked at
what is the CRLs?
it's
Costume
costuming
reference
reference in the library. So for every
Is that a
costume,
website?
if you look up Stormtrooper space CRL, it will take you to the 501st CRL, and they have a CRL for every costume. And then if you're going to be a Stormtrooper, it's called the Stormtrooper Detachment. It's specialized guys that just specialize in helping you make Stormtrooper costumes. So it can get as picky and minute as you want to. By the
By
odd
you
snap.
saying that you want to be a costume character, you've just taken your first step into a larger world that you may
Yes.
not be able to escape from.
Yes. But
I've got the Vader CRL up for him.
yeah. If you look at all the different Vader helmets, I try to explain to people like there's so many
Wow.
Vaders.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I always thought it was shiny. It's just the lighting, huh?
Yeah.
And that's only in A New Hope.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you see the robe here on the sides
Mm-hmm.
that goes over top the shoulder armor,
Yeah.
and then in Empire it started going under,
I'm doing Empire.
which is the
Let me see the
best
Empire
Vader.
armor. Maybe I'm missing it.
Yeah, see,
Oh, okay.
And then show them the helmet. Show them the I think it should be an up close of the face where you can see the gray and the black.
it's you can't tell in the picture in the CRLs, but you can tell if I find Revenge of the Sith. So
And Revenge of the Sith is very symmetrical. That's what Marty's is. Marty's is Revenge of the Sith.
didn't they?
What
3D
am I
print
looking
his
at
helmet?
here? What am I looking for here?
See how it's all gloss black?
Yeah.
That's different because it was the original trilogy was matte with that kind of gunmetal gray. So up here and down here were two different colors.
Oh, okay. Wow, this is a rabbit hole.
Oh yeah, and it's
These are
deeper
things
than
that
you can
we pay
imagine.
attention to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me see. Yeah, and then here's Return of the Jedi.
If you take a look at Mike's helmet, you can kind of sort of see what we're talking about.
And which
Here, look.
costume are you doing?
I'm doing Empire. So if you look here, under this eye is black. Under the other eye, whoops. Oh. Under here's gray. So that's gray. That's black. Front's gray. See how this front right there? See how that's black? And
Right.
then on the other cheek it's gray. So it's a cross pattern.
And why was it done that way?
Just so that it could pick up light from the camera, because they were worried the camera was just gonna make it all black and you wouldn't be able to see anything.
Yeah, this was pre-digital
okay.
times. This is, and
Mhm.
many of the cameras that they used, they actually built themselves.
Yeah.
And then here's my costume, just because I know you want to see it.
So you have the Force Awakens one.
Mm-hmm.
Is it different in the other ones?
Actually, Kylo's is very different.
Yeah.
Here, look at the whole helmet.
Huh. It's weird how you don't really see that. 'Cause
Right.
Yeah,
And
so
most folks don't care, but when
Yeah.
when you step into the world of the costuming, that's where the details really come to matter a great deal.
Well, I think that's what makes it fun.
Hmm.
Like, because then if you talk,
Has anyone ever been a Wampa?
yes,
I saw
we have a couple Wampas.
Is Toga a Wampa?
No,
he better be.
I saw that on their Wampa.
Yeah, there's
Oh my
a
God.
couple Wampas. And
Willy Wampa?
one of the dad batches is doing Black whatever, Black K, the purple Wookiee. One of the dad batchers.
Oh, that's cool. Is it the
Really?
same guy who does Hunter? Or sorry, Wrecker?
Wrecker. I believe it's him. Yes. So
Yeah, I mean, you look how many costumes there are.
I see that.
And that's
Dang.
just the bad guys.
Yeah, there's
Then you
more
go down
for-
the other rabbit hole
What
of
is,
the Rebel Legion.
Krennic on there?
Mhm.
What's
Yeah.
the Krennic?
He would be in Imperial Officer. Director Krennic. Yeah, there's 4 different versions.
There is?
So the dinner scene, the opening scene, the when he was on not Jeddah. What was the
Scarif?
not Scarif?
when
one
he
in
first
between
went to,
that. When they blew up when the rebels came in and blew up the base and killed Galen.
oh
Yes,
yeah,
Edu.
what was it?
Edu.
Yeah.
So that's Edu, and then that's his main look.
Okay, the main look. Do you have that one?
Yes.
Okay. You have the
I-
gun belt and everything?
I don't have the holster. I need a different belt, and I need a holster.
Is he wearing his gun backwards?
Yeah, he is a left-handed cross draw.
You're kidding. So he's like this?
Yeah.
He draws like this?
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah, but I've got the hat. The hat is optional. I've got the tunic, the rank bar. I need to fix my code cylinders. I've got the cloak. I need a more accurate belt. I need the pants. I've got the gloves, and I need the boots.
Well, the boots are just riding boots, right?
Yeah.
Or are they something special?
No, they're just riding boot. They're knee-high riding boots.
Original German marching boots. Or
With
authentic
no
replica.
with no stirrups. Or not stirrups.
Right.
What's the what are they called when they make the clingy clangy sound?
Spurs.
Spurs. That's it. No spurs on his boots. That's just Boba Fett.
Well, and that's like Boba Fett has Boba Fett's belt is a belt off of a saddle, isn't it?
Yep, it's called the girth belt.
Your girth belt. That's just a
Yeah, it's
that's
what goes under the horse, I think, to
Yeah.
connect the two ends of the saddle
yeah,
together.
his original
Wait a minute. It is?
Yeah, the original Boba Fett. There's so many. I mean, Boba Fett has tons, and the Boba Fett guys, they're like you, Mando Mercs. Mando Mercs are all free and loose and making their custom, but when you
Yeah,
run
until you
into
get the Boba Fett, then it's over.
like if you talk to
Wow.
Howard, man, he ordered bags of the original parts just to get one for his Boba Fett. Like if
Those
there
little
was a specific
rivets or
rivet,
screws.
yeah, like when he did the original, the white Boba Fett.
Oh, the prototype one.
Yeah, he got the original towel. He got everything for his because he has that Star Wars beach towel on hanging on his armor. So
That is the girth off a dressage saddle. It's
Yeah.
not a Western saddle.
yeah,
Yeah, we do the horse thing here. So
yeah, you guys know horses. Me, we have Amish people. They don't really ride them. They just
You know the
have buggies.
dressage where they dress up like in the skin tight, almost look like suits.
Mhm.
With the funny
jacket.
hat.
Yes, and then the women wear like basically the yoga version pants,
Yeah.
and then the knee high boots. That's dressage.
No. Okay.
English style.
English style, yeah, English riding. That's an English saddle girth.
So, but
Yeah,
there
maybe
you
we can
know.
get Mom and Skylar.
I have tons of
interested.
them down at the barn. If you need to start that costume, let me know.
I would never dare do a Boba Fett.
I don't know if this is still true, but it used to be Boba Fett was just slightly more expensive to build than Vader.
I think half of that would have been the paint in the paint app.
Yes. The paint and just all the little stuff. Now, and again, this was pre 3D printing. Like
Right.
it used to be, if you wanted, you had to get the film developing paddle that you had in your leg and all those little oddball things. And now that, like I said, that's 3D printing has fixed a lot of that, because it's made it a more affordable for the average person. Because it used to be, if you wanted a British sterling, you had to find a toy or a real one. Now you can just, $20 worth of filament, you can have a blaster and some leftover filament. So
We have a British Sterling, like the Stormtrooper guns.
Mhm.
Yeah, we have one of those. Probably
What?
wouldn't. I don't think they'd let us in with the real shell.
No,
It's
you have-
real.
It's right next to the Uzis
Yeah.
no,
and the flamethrower that Mike has.
that was Missy's brother that had the flamethrowers.
I actually do. I do have an Uzi.
Yeah,
Real Uzi.
nice. Well,
A legal Uzi for anyone listening.
Yeah.
It's-
Hey,
it's
we
it's
could
fine.
do a what was the parade that that they did with Vader and Boba Fett?
Oh yeah, because he had an Uzi. Yeah, yeah.
The San
had an
Anselmo
His
family
original,
parade.
his original one was an Uzi. Yeah,
Yeah.
the white costume.
I think Marty has the spear gun because he has a spear gun he wears in that in the one holster. Because
Actually-
Marty has a good Boba Fett too.
The
Well, there's
Uzi
one that
had
was made
a
out
silencer on
of the
it.
parts of a lightsaber too.
Yeah, yeah,
I think the Uzi, Boba Fett's Uzi, to make the extension was a silencer, wasn't it?
probably.
Yeah, we
Well,
have one of
the,
those too.
Because I know when I first started, guys were using British Sterlings, and they ran into the problem of if you went to certain events, you even if it was demilitarized, you couldn't take it. Like all the moving parts had to be like melted together, to and then because it used to be you could buy like a decommissioned sterling relatively cheap, but not anymore. They were re-welds and cuts and stuff. So
That is a Graflex hilt on the
Huh?
on the end of that.
yeah,
It's a way.
That's the end of Luke's lightsaber. The Graflex.
Oh my gosh, it is, isn't it?
I'm telling you,
Yeah.
man, you're stepping deeper into
yeah,
that
yeah.
rabbit hole.
Where your he's just going to be looking through the.
The stock is wrong though. That folding stock is not right. That's not a real Uzi stock. They must have made that.
Yeah, they probably just went to a prop house.
Cobbled things together.
Because like
Kit-Kat.
where Zoe's at in there's like 5 or 6 prop houses, and just like I do ask her to go to the jump place, I'm like, look, there's like 2 blocks away, there's warehouses of prop houses. You should just go like walk in.
Volunteer there.
Well, no, because you can go in and say, look, I'm making a independent film. I'd like to rent an ashtray from 1972. Like they just have all these, and they're all specialized. Like one of them's like a military, one of them's airplanes, and you know what I mean. I was like, just take a tour, and she's like, ah. So I try, but
Imagine going in there saying you wanted to get to fit out a kid's bedroom from 1978.
Yeah.
Show me the Happy Meal toys from 1978.
Well, have you Ken? Did you go see Rancho Obi-Wan's exhibit ever?
At Celebration, yes.
Yeah.
But I haven't made it to Rancho Obi-Wan yet.
Because their exhibit at Celebration Chicago, I think they had like a 1977 or something.
I think it was 1980. I thought it was
1980, maybe. Yeah, because it had Empire Strikes Back stuff. Yeah. So.
And they had a picture of I thought it was it Farrah Fawcett on the wall.
Yeah.
It was one of those bombshells from that time period.
Yeah. So, I don't know.
Do you want to spend any time talking about the first, several episodes of Andor? I mean, we spent a lot of time talking about costumes tonight.
Look, at the heart of this podcast, we are a costuming podcast.
That's true. That is true. Well, so this will just spread it around to trooping too. Some of the best trooping display tables I've seen for the 501st is Maryland has a giant printed out book of all the CRLs in plastic sleeves. So when someone's talking to them, they're like, "Oh, I'd like to do so and so." They flip right to the page, and they're like, "Look, here's what you can do to get started on that costume." Which I always thought was a kind of a cool thing.
We have that too, but it hasn't been updated since like 2011.
Yeah, well, that's the only problem is the undertaking of keeping it updated, because I know
they need a Leland Chi.
Yeah, well, Sonnenfeld has been a big proponent of making sure we update the CRLs, because there for a while they kind of fell behind, and then people were getting frustrated because they're like, well, look, this costume, I want to do it, and you don't have it for me. Like a lot of people want, and so they really pushed for those. And like I just know basically Stormtroopers. I keep an eye on all the Stormtrooper stuff coming out. Like they have the yellow ones from Marty wants to do the yellow one from Mandalorian that has the mortar.
The mortar trooper, yeah.
Mortar trooper. And I want to do the flame trooper that tries to burn up Baby Yoda.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. Yeah. So
one of the random ones I would like to do is either a Mandalorian citizen or the Mandalorian police officer, where he had that riot shield.
Oh yeah,
the riot staff, and a different kind of helmet. It was almost like a helmet that had a visor on it that flipped up and then flipped down, kind of like a medieval helmet sort of thing.
Yeah. I am. Well, yeah, all of the Mandalorians from Lord or from the show Clone Wars, there was that medieval feel with the court and stuff.
Yep.
Well, we're going to get I think we're going to see tons of Mandalorian costumes in Ahsoka, the TV
And
show,
season 3.
and season 3 of the Mandalorian, and
Bad Batch.
Bad Batch maybe.
Or do you think Bad Batch is going to focus more on the connections to cloning and the Empire?
That could be. It could be Boba Fett in though. I'm still wouldn't be surprised if they bring young Boba Fett into the Bad Batch because she's Omega, he's the Alpha.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if you drop that nugget, you almost have to bring him in.
Yeah,
especially if you mention him by name. Well, not by name, but specifically mention him.
And that'll bring Daniel Logan in probably.
Yes, and I'm all for Daniel Logan.
Hold on, I got to drop out of hyperspace again. So, who's Boba Fett's Alpha because he was the original clone. What was the other ones?
Omega.
The girl from Bad Batch. Yeah.
Okay. Are they supposed to be brother and sister? I don't understand the relation between the two.
Technically, they're all brothers and sisters.
Well, I get that, but
she would be the female
unaltered clones, right?
Right. So she'd be the female version of him.
Were they trying to make female clones? Or why would they? Yeah. Why did they even make her? And what was the whole point?
Well, that's what that one lady, that
Lama
one,
Su.
Yeah, that was like her side project. So I think all of it is going to somehow tie in with Snoke and Grogu and all those experiments we see. I think it's all going to be like a common thread, and I still think we haven't seen them exterminate the clones yet. Because I still think I think somewhere there's going to be a mass extermination of the clones. Yes, I think the Empire is going to somehow, directly or indirectly, get rid of all the clones as fast as they can.
Well, and we already know that there are clone defectors,
right?
And I don't even mean just Rex, but when we saw the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, there was a clone panhandler.
Yep. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I think there's going to be some sort of cleansing of the clones in one way, shape, or form. Whether, and I was thinking we were going to see something like that in Kenobi at first.
Or do you think it's going to be something
of that scene? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. I'm sorry, Jeff.
Speaking of that scene where they had the clone panhandler, and he sees Obi-Wan or Ben.
Yeah.
How did they explain the fact doesn't he still have the directive to carry out Order 66? How does he not kill him by seeing him?
Unless he was someone that removed his chip.
Or maybe he was on Spice and didn't really recognize him.
That's true too.
Because wasn't Obi-Wan wearing a hood at that time?
Well, that's true.
So he was in disguise.
But there was a bunch of, and I know a lot of it's not canon anymore, but there was a bunch of clones that removed their chips that weren't, that kind of, even before, when they were just writing all those books, not knowing what was going to happen, there was a lot of clones that had their chips removed. So, but yeah, that's an interesting point.
Well, do you think there's a possibility of not necessarily genocide, meaning the Empire deliberately, killed them, but do you think there's the possibility of somewhere along the line, because they had to speed up the aging process, that they aged fast and died earlier than a normal human would?
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like, even indirectly, like, okay, look, let's just shove all these clones here and let them like die in a not so dignified way. You know what I mean? Like, oh, we're not going to kill them, but here we're going to put you on a crappy planet with barely any food and just forget about you, or you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't be surprised if that gets picked up on somehow. Because for some people, the clones are a big part of Star Wars. There's a whole group of people that are just into the animated Star Wars. Just like there's a group of people that don't watch the animated. I've met people that just like the animated stuff, which is weird to me, but Well,
weren't there tens of millions of clones?
Yeah.
And even if you wiped out 70% in combat, you're still talking about 2 or 3 million leftover clones. You're
right. And that's what I'm saying. Like,
and they have to round them up from the entire. They weren't like all in one place.
Well, they can move them to the clone zone.
Explain getting rid of them.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Like they showed how they got rid of Camino
Right.
in the Bad Batch. They got rid of Camino. So I'm just curious if there's some redeployment of what they do to slowly just kind of get rid of them.
Or is there another piece of the programming where instead of Order 66, it's Order
67.
96, and they're all, or 86.
Yeah,
You know, we're gonna 86 you, and then they're just
yeah. So
it
you never
fries us
know.
from the inside out.
Yeah, but I'm just curious what that, what's nice with the way Star Wars is now, and the writers coming up, because the writers now that are coming up and the directors have grown up with Star Wars, so they can take that thread that they loved and push it through the story group and then make what they want.
At high risk, because look what happened with JJ and Ryan and Gareth.
Yeah, but see, I don't know. I liked the new movies, but I still think part of that was just a growing pain of, like, I think JJ was all on board, but I think to JJ, and I've said this before, I think JJ was a movie maker that loves Star Wars, where Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are Star Wars fans that make movies. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and it's a different.
I think that's just
different kind of attention.
And I think now we're getting more Star Wars fans that make movies than we had movie makers that like Star Wars. That's what I think we're getting.
Although Andor's a deviation from that, because from what I've heard, Gilroy was not a fan of Star Wars, and he's doing some pretty good stuff.
But see, I think Gilroy is. I don't think he might not be a fan of Star Wars, but he's a fan of all the things that make Star Wars Star Wars.
Yeah, I'd buy that for $1.
You know what I mean? And again, like J.J. Abrams is the same way, but I also think J.J. Abrams is one of those. He's almost similar to like Steven Spielberg in the sense that let's make a blockbuster and then let's go make another blockbuster. But you know what I mean? Like where George Lucas was, as much as he might have hated it, at some point in time, he liked just making his movies, and he didn't care if it was his same movies. He liked staying in his lane. So
here's something I'm going to recommend to you guys. You don't have to watch this, but I know earlier we mentioned Light and Magic.
Mm-hmm.
So there's this series. It was on the Vice channel, and I found it on YouTube. It's called Icons, and it's Icons Star Wars Unearthed or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's 6 parts, and it's the first behind-the-scenes documentary that I've watched where it doesn't necessarily show Star Wars in a bright light. I mean, it is behind-the-scenes stuff, but it kind of airs a little bit of the dirty laundry related to it. And
cool.
Star Wars was messier than I think we'd seen in the the J.W. Rinsler books or the Light and Magic show that's on Disney Plus, thanks to Lawrence Kasdan and so on. So it was very interesting because they had Marsha Lucas as a part of it. They had John Dykstra as a part of it. So it was a little bit messier than some of those other documentaries.
Well, the John Dykstra story, when they did that, I remember part of that when I was a kid, and I remember that being slightly dirtier than they talked about in that, because I remember that whole. Like, I felt bad liking Battlestar Galactica when I was a kid because of how they hurt George when I was a kid. So
that was the original Battlestar Galactica.
Yes.
Well, I liked it, but again, I was at that point in that time period. Anything that got me close to Star Wars, I liked. You know what I mean? Like it was my Star Wars because I couldn't get any other Star Wars because you didn't have VCRs. You didn't have just like if it's on, you were hopefully at home the time it happened to be on. We would circle it in our TV guide that came in the Sunday newspaper.
It's funny. Speaking of that show, I as a child, just watched it and ate it up. Right.
Yep.
As an adult, I never realized until I went back and rewatched when I was older that it was the same battle scene over and over and over. Like, how many times are these ships flying in the exact same formation?
Yeah, yeah.
Great. But you don't realize it when you're, a kid.
Yep.
Yeah, because it has different scenes before the battle and then different scenes after the battle.
Yes.
So, oh, it's another battle scene.
I would have been like maybe 10 when that came out.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it. Hey, they're just recycling the same picture, the film.
Well, I know Star Trek. The original was it not one of the Star Treks? They went back through and redid all the special effects, like just not too terribly recently. And I don't know if that was the Next Generation or something. Like they went because the way it was filmed, they were able to do it without messing because the special effects were put in post, like what was seen on the big. So they went and fixed a bunch of stuff.
Yeah,
so they did a
maybe
special edition
was
of
it like the like Star Trek the motion picture?
No, I think it was one of the TV series. It was one of the TV series. They went. It was I don't know if it was the Next Generation or something, but they went and updated the graphics so they could be played on 4K or better TVs and
I didn't know that.
Something like that. It probably came on my feed because they thought it was Star Wars. I'm not really up on Star Trek, but but look, we have George Takei in Star Wars because he did the voice of that one. Was it a senator or no? It was
from Rebels.
No, he was in Clone Wars.
Clone Wars.
He was in the one general. I think it was like burning out of town. I think it was the one. I don't know if it was Ryloth. One of those was George Takei, one of the villain dudes. So,
well, Scotty is Unkar Pluck, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
From the newer Star Trek, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, have you guys ever done a show about the sequels? Post like the Force Awakens and stuff?
I don't think we've done a designed episode, but I mean, we've talked about it.
We've just recently even started working off an agenda.
Did he tell you? Have you ever told him my opinion on the?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I was just curious.
Well,
well, share it with everybody because we may have some new listeners. So, what's your opinion on them?
They are the 3 biggest pieces of trash I have ever seen in my life.
Really?
They are awful. Like I have tried to watch like The Last Jedi, which is the worst movie ever. I've actually tried to watch it more than I think twice. I can't get through it. It's so bad.
See what you guys have done?
Bad.
See what you've done?
So what do you think? What do you think of having someone dress as Kylo in your own house?
I don't have anything. I don't have anything against the character of Kylo Ren.
I mean,
Adam Driver did the character. He did what he was told. He followed directions. The Force Awakens isn't horrible. It's not great. You know what I mean? Obviously, it's just a New Hope 2.0. Everybody says that. I agree. The Rise of Skywalker, like, it's just mind-numbingly. It's incoherent as a movie. Who would build like 2,000 Star Destroyers and hide them in a cloud? I mean, that's the dumbest.
They're the Sith ever. The Sith are terrible. The Sith are acolytes. Well, like for me, at least
one beacon. That's all the Empire could afford now is one little beacon to fly them out of there.
Well,
you're the Empire. You know what I mean?
Well, the one thing for me for Star Wars though, I think maybe the newer movies hit me in a better place because, like for my kids, like it seems like every movie, especially since my kids were born, have some significance to it to me. And again, at my house, Star Wars is probably used more than it probably should be. I mean, this is just one of my Star Wars rooms, so
yeah, there's nothing that hits me about the movies other than obviously we saw it together. Now they're terrible.
What do you think of the Ewok movies?
I don't think he knows.
I don't even know what those are.
Oh, okay. So there you got homework too.
You got some more homework. Plus the Ewok cartoon and the Droids cartoon.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
You have Disney Plus, correct?
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah, the Ewok movies, they didn't show in the theaters here, but they went in the theaters in Australia and a couple other places.
Yeah, at least the first one I thought was a theatrical release.
Yeah.
No, I didn't even know they existed. Are they bad?
I don't think they're bad. They bring us blurgs. They were the blurgs.
They bring us the Witches of Dathomir.
Yep.
Wow.
So-
I always thought I was a pretty fanatical Star Wars fan. Now I feel like, not so much.
Well, you know, we're all all four of us are someone's friend. They always point to us as being that crazy Star Wars fan. You know what I mean? There's someone saying, you know, so. But
Well, here's a silly question: Can you, or do you believe that it's possible for a 7-foot tall bear dog to drive a spaceship?
Sure. I've seen Chewie do it hundreds of times.
So if you can believe that part of Star Wars, then you should very easily and just as equally be able to believe that the Empire only has enough resources to build one beacon, because it's all that same level of believability. So if you can believe one part of it, you can believe all parts of it.
No, I can't. Not for that movie. It's
What
just
if
so
Chewie
bad.
was- what if
Here-
Chewie
you know,
was
what? I'll tell you the biggest thing about the 3 sequels is, you know, when Han was killed, right? I actually cried in the movie theater,
Mhm.
right? If they'd have killed off any of the other characters, been like, I don't care. There's no attachment to them. Like if they killed off, Kylo Ren or Rey.
Hey, you might be surprised to
Or-
find out that they did kill Kylo Ren.
What's that? Yeah, but he kind of sacrificed himself. You know what I mean? It's a little different.
Yeah, but the writers did indeed
Okay.
kill him
Okay,
off.
they killed him off technically, but you know
We're
what
gonna
I
need
mean.
therapy after this show.
But like if
Notice how I haven't been paying attention because I've heard this 1,000 times.
Okay, so if they'd have killed off Rey or I can't think of the black stormtrooper's name. I can't. That's,
Finn?
FM
yeah.
2187.
whatever the hell his name was. It's not even important. That's the problem. If they kill them off, couldn't care less.
See what you guys
Well,
have done?
No,
You know what I
but
mean?
listen, but
Like,
that's the plus
Who's
side.
an obscure character from the original trilogy?
Will Hood.
Yeah, they didn't
Yeah,
kill
well,
him off. I'd have cried.
Lobot.
Right?
Lobot? How about
So-
oh man, now I forgot his name again. The guy who told
Like
him
when
about
they
Chewie.
smashed the mouse droid. I
Mike,
was
what were you
upset.
saying?
Boshek?
Boshek. If they could have killed Boshek off, you mean, and you would have cared, Boshek?
If I wouldn't have cared, or would have.
Or what
cared.
about Cammy
Would've
and
cared.
Fixer?
Yeah.
No, but I mean, I think the plus side is if you don't. What's nice about Star Wars now, especially, there's so many that we don't all have to like the same. You know what I mean? Because that's one thing we always talk about the show. It's always good to hear what people like and dislike, but there are whole shows committed to just talking about what they hate. Like if we went on next week and we said, okay, we're just going to do 4 hours of everything we hate, then that doesn't help any of us like Star Wars anymore, right?
I think it'd be an interesting show because I mean it wouldn't be 4 hours; it'd be like 10 minutes. But
Well, but
not for me, because we could go on 4 hours about the Last Jedi.
But I
Well,
also,
settle down.
and it's probably because I work with kids. It's like there are certain people, if they're not in the Star Wars fandom, if I would have said to them 5 years ago, here, watch a movie from 1977, no matter how good you think it is or not, there's some kids that would never watch that. So when they saw Force Awakens, it gave them Star Wars, and then they would have never seen any of that. They would have probably never watched The Mandalorian, any of that. And so that's the one thing I like about all the Star Wars. Now, again, I'm a sucker. I like the holiday special. I like all that stuff. So I'm, take anything I say with a grain of salt, but I like everything Star Wars. And it doesn't make me a better fan or a worse fan. That's the other thing, is because as big of fans as all of us are, we know people that are even bigger fans if you measure. Like Marty has an R2 sitting in his vestibule of his house with his Chewie suit, Vader suit, Boba Fett suit, Stormtrooper suit, Sand Trooper suit. You go on.
He used to have a Kylo Ren suit.
He did have a
He
Kylo.
used to.
And then you have Dan as C-3PO. You have Choo-Choo with tons of droids. You have Ken running all these armor parties, putting Mandalorians together. That's the cool thing about it. Like when I was at Disney, I ran into the head of the Hawaiian 501st because I was wearing my racing shirt. Did you get your racing shirt yet, John?
They said mid-month next
Oh, okay.
month, so
So I had
they
my racing.
They just approved the, or they sent like a sample of the all the images.
Order it large. I'm just telling you. Order it larger than you think.
I don't think I did.
Yeah.
Well, you're skinny, so you'll be fine. But for me, man, but you know, that's the nice thing. You put one of those shirts on, you have a 501st badge on, or even a Star Wars shirt, and it invites conversation.
And it becomes a shared language.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so whether you're talking things like acronyms and abbreviations, CRLs or ATAT, you know, not
Or
every, or ATA, you know, not everyone, you know, understands those references. Where, you know, we have that ability to sit down, have those conversations, and have a certain understanding of shared stuff.
Do you know
Whether you're from Georgia or Georgia,
you know, all those little girls that come down to the barn
Mm-hmm.
to ride? You know, there's a password to get in the barn. You know what it is? Blue Harvest.
There you go.
Not a single one of them has any idea what the heck that means.
Do you know what TK stands for?
TK, Trooper. I don't know what the K is.
Core.
Trooper Core. Okay.
Core with a K.
Well, I knew it had to be something.
And then what's the Imperial?
What's TD then? Like the D is a sand trooper.
Trooper
right?
Desert. Trooper
Okay.
Desert. Or dessert if you spell it wrong.
Deserter.
Or you have what's the Biker Scout? That's TB.
Mm-hmm.
What's the TIE Pilot?
TI.
TI. What's I stand for?
That one I don't
Tie
know.
and receptor.
Maybe, I don't know. And then, you know, what you're not a Sith Lord now, are you? You're
No, I'm DS. Dark
disciple
Side.
of Sith. Oh, Dark Side is.
It's Dark
What was
Side
it?
Adept. But it just the DS is just Dark Side.
So I'll get to be a Sith Lord when I get Vader done.
Yeah, rub it in. Do you know how many times like they've given me things or like message me on Facebook and they'll be like SL and I'll be like, no, I'm not a Sith Lord.
I'm not a Sith Lord yet.
And you're a DA.
What does TI stand for? Also, where did the Jolly Roger Squadron come from? Do we know?
No, but I wonder.
That's the pilot detachment.
Yeah, I always thought of it was like a throwback to the you know how sometimes science fiction mixes ships, like you have the Imperial Navy and it's not ships, but Jolly Roger's the like pirates, you know what I mean? That's the kind of what I always took it. And I don't know if that comes off of what's his name? Baron Fell. They
were under the command of Grand Moff Tarkin, the 37th TIE Fighter Wing.
Oh, okay. Because I didn't
Not
know
that I'm reading it right off the interwebs, but yeah, I just read it off the interwebs.
Because you have Baron Fell, the only one, and the other one was the Black Widows. That's the female fighter wing of the pilots. The Black Widows. So.
And they were actually selected personally by Lord Vader as his tight-knit squadron.
Yeah. Well,
they were the combat air support for the 501st.
The two TIE pilots that fly with him in New Hope have special markings, I think, on their helmets.
Yeah, they've got the silver stripes.
And they were all women. In New Hope, they were all women.
Really?
Not because they weren't women on camera, but they put women in the suits to make Vader look bigger.
Oh, boy. That's highly inappropriate.
Well, they had behind the scenes footage of some of the rebels in those scenes where it was older women pilots, and they ended up cutting them out of the final movie.
Well, what was nice about Rogue One was when they used a lot of that thrown out footage in the battle above Scarif.
Yeah, that was fantastic. I thought where they brought that, and they even made it look like it belonged there.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know how they digitally enhanced that to look like it was filmed today.
Well, he shot that on good cameras, and George Lucas was, again, if I can plug his unofficial autobiography, read that. He was known for saving scraps of film. When he would edit, they would find canisters of just pieces of film. He never threw one single piece of film out. That was like his thing. So if you want to read or listen to a good book, the unofficial biography of George Lucas.
I've got too much homework as it is right now.
I know you got a lot of homework.
Take it slow. Take it slow. You got lots of time.
Dude, I honestly, I would recommend if you just the CRLs to me are fun to look at. Even I've been looking at them for 7 years, and I still look at them and just find neat stuff. You're like, oh, I didn't realize that. Like, and when the Shore Troopers came out, like the Shore Trooper is probably one of my favorite new trooper costumes. That whole line of like Shore Trooper, tank driver, all that kind of stuff. And there's so many variations of that. And then when Din was wearing the tank driver, man, that's Brendan Wayne at his best. Because did you remember when he was riding on top of that tank and he was fighting him like he had Beskar on?
Mm-hmm.
He held his arm up and then they went up breaking the, you know what I mean? Because he forgot he didn't have Beskar on. Yeah. So anyway, I think what is it like 11:42? It's like
Wow.
That's a good time to cut it.
We're getting back to our old ways.
It's 6 o'clock here in England.
Yeah. Well, again, we have to. I think. Have you listened to the Dad Batch yet, John?
I have not. No, you know how I am about podcasts.
Check out the Dad Batch because that's what we should aspire to. That's a good episode. I mean, and they're only on like what, episode 13. I think this week coming out is episode 13. Or Halloween. They're recording it right now because they record on Wednesdays, and then they do all that post production and they have it out on Friday. So,
is there post production for you?
Well, not a lot.
No. There's not much on this because we don't really do anything with this. This literally started. Fancy. This started out as me testing this for my daughter to podcast with, and then she never uses it anyway.
How'd you get the inflatable part? How'd you get inflatable Falcon?
That's a fun story. You want to tell it? You want to tell it, Mike?
No, you got it, Ken. You're the better story.
This is
Go
all
ahead.
you.
Go ahead, Ken.
So we got together and we're test driving this software that Mike was talking about. And in between one of our episodes, we discovered that there's a product made by Magic Jump. It's a bounce house in the shape of the Millennium Falcon. And we were joking around saying we would love to buy one. And then we found out that it's about $11,000.
Holy crap.
And that just ended up becoming the title of our show. And for a while there, we were putting in plugs to Magic Jump, telling them how much we want to interview them, how much we want them on the show, how much we would love to record an episode of the Inflatable Falcon from the Inflatable Falcon. And so it just became our calling card for a little bit, even to the point where sometimes, I don't know if you can see tonight, I've got my background as Luthen's shop. Sometimes I have the Inflatable Falcon, the interior of the Inflatable Falcon as my background because I have too much random debris behind me to show up on screen.
That's cool.
I think that's the picture he uses, actually.
That's actually cool. I don't even know how you got the Beskar bucket.
Because like I used to play D&D a lot.
Yeah.
It sounded like a tavern name. Like, you've got like the prancing pony from Lord of the Rings.
Oh, okay. I can see that Beskar bucket. Okay.
Yeah, it would be what? The adjective noun is the best way to get a
there it
shop
is.
Name.
The Inflatable Falcon. And we joke around that Zoe, who's out in California now, is only about 20 miles away from where Magic Jump is, and we've challenged her to go there and get some pictures taken in front of the Magic Jump headquarters.
Minutes.
Well, it depends on which way you go because
it depends. See, she's found out the California time getting somewhere is ridiculous because like it took her an hour to get somewhere that like I feel like it should only take her like 15 minutes to get to. Because of the traffic.
I didn't think it was 20 miles. I thought it was much closer.
I think it's 20. I think it's 20 minutes down the road. It's not far.
And kids these days don't walk anywhere like they did in my day.
But yeah, here's the Falcon right here. Look at this.
That would be cool.
For the low price of $9,395.
It's gone down.
Hey, $9,395.
That's gone down even more.
But look. You don't get any blowers. If you have to add the blowers, the impact mat, whatever that is, the 10 pieces sandbags at $170, and a transporter 4-wheel brake for $439.
Because the thing is so big, you need a special cart for it.
Yeah. So that's the
And so that's the
the-
source of the title of this particular podcast that you've now
stumbled
ridden on
across.
board of.
I still think for Steel City we need to do like a live in-person episode.
Oh yeah, we'll do it right in the lobby of the somewhere. We'll just, I'll bring my Zoom. I can bring my Zoom if we need, and we can bring it. We can do it on a phone too if we have to.
Right. It's possible.
We'll do it with Pittsburgh Dad. There's that guy, the Pittsburgh Dad or something like that. But
It was so nice to have you on tonight, John.
yeah, it was very nice.
Thanks for
Is
the
your
special treat,
Vader
John.
costume going to be ready by then?
Oh yeah, literally I just have to put all the chest piece and the belt boxes together. Everything else is done. My outer robe that someone sewed for me, she mailed it out this week, so I should have it next week. So
Oh my
Vader
God.
should be done.
If I go as Krennic, we can act out the scene.
I was gonna say, think of the picture
You'll
opportunities.
tell the Empire.
Yeah.
You'll tell
Don't
the
show
Emperor,
us when
won't you? I'm
Yeah.
just doing command.
Because we'll still have we'll have Vader and Kylo, and then Vader and Krennic. Oh my God, the pictures will be amazing.
Yeah.
And then we need to get one day where we've got Kennix and Din next to each other and make sure that we've got someone with a sign above each of our heads.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
This is the Mandalorian. This is not.
No, you should have them.
Yeah, I'm a Mandalorian. You're
Yeah.
the Mandalorian.
Yeah,
There's a
there we go.
difference.
There we go.
My
Is
bad.
that the same
A
thing?
Mandalorian, the Mandalorian.
I thought Mandalorian was like a creed.
Anyway, that's a whole nother rabbit hole.
And actually, Mando isn't a Mando anymore because he messed up, took his helmet off, didn't he?
Only if he belongs to that church.
Church.
That-
that's
Children
right.
of the Watch.
They're like that Coven is like the Amish of the Mandalorians.
Ah, okay. So
Oh,
he's
I
an
think they're more like
infidel now.
the armor's
Okay.
more like David Koresh.
Well, yeah.
She is hardcore, no pun intended,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, I want a more like lightweight Mandalorian thing where we can party and have a good time. Then
I think that's
Like
the
Bo-Katan?
Bo-Katan people. Yeah, they're
I
like,
want the Bo-Katan clan because that seems like a lot more fun.
well, you got to watch. You got to watch Rebels, and then you'll see Sabine. That's the even more light. But though in Rebels, Sabine pretty much when she has to get something done, other than one time, she pretty much succeeds every time. I think.
Does anybody else call Bo-Katan Starbuck? Like I can't not call her Starbuck in the show. Like, hey, look, Starbuck's on the Mandalorian.
I don't know, but she does get a lot of Battlestar Galactica people that But I think that's a generational thing too, because like there for a while, the Sci-Fi Channel was hard to get it until streaming came back. There's a whole bunch of people that didn't even realize that was around.
Yeah.
What would be funny
You might-
is if somehow that showed up in season 3.
Yeah.
If they did a quick, just a little mention of that somewhere along the way.
That would
Oh
be
yeah,
cool.
or it'll have Starbuck written in
In Arabic
Arabic.
somewhere.
Yes, that
Yeah.
would be awesome.
So
Like under armor or something somewhere.
yeah.
It's
'cause-
funny. His mom, my wife, only knows her as the deputy from
Yellowstone?
Longmire.
Longmire.
Oh,
She was in
okay.
66 seasons of Longmire. And I can't think of her character's name in that show, but
That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I mean. Everyone has their own. It's neat when you see because then they kind of comes together. Because like when we were in line for Ashley Eckstein, remember Ken? People forget her husband's a baseball player. But when you go to a con like that, no one cares about the baseball player.
Yeah,
So-
the MVP, World
Yeah.
Series winning baseball player.
Right.
But for many people, just a handler.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I got pictures.
Talk to her husband.
Huh?
Didn't you guys talk to her husband?
Oh yeah, no.
yeah.
I get every time I see him, I get a picture with him just because he gets a kick out of it. Because no one ever wants a picture with him. I'm like, hey, can we get a picture with you? Same with Dave Filoni's wife.
Who's
Dave
his
Filoni's
wife?
wife's another one, man. Like she's like funny to hang out with.
who's the baseball player's wife?
Ahsoka. Ashley
Ahsoka.
Eckstein.
That
Oh.
The voice
Yeah.
of Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
interesting.
All right. Well, it's been a fun night, gentlemen.
yeah, it's been great. Thanks again, John and John.
Yep.
They just doubled our Johns tonight.
Yes.
Yep.
That's what
Well,
we're here for.
technically tripled.
Oh, no,
That's true. Up until I was 4,